We will share with you our toll-free numbers and also the Skype username that allow you to take control of the airwaves and bring up anything that you want. Of course, you can't avoid finding out that it's Veterans Day today. I found out when I actually tried to go down to City Hall, and they were closed in the middle of the week. I said, oh, it must be some kind of holiday. Turns out it's Veterans Day.
Yeah, there's not too many holidays you'll find that they have them right on the in the middle of the week. But Veterans Day is one of them. It comes from Armistice Day, which was the 11th day at the 11th month at the 11th hour.
That was World War II, right?
World War I.
World War I, okay.
I think it's one of the, well, I don't want to give it a superlative, but it was an evil thing to do. They signed this.
Changing Armistice Day to Veterans Day?
No, the changing of Armistice Day to Veterans Day was really sort of a celebratory thing surrounding World War II. But Armistice Day was much more about remembrance, and Veterans Day is much more sort of celebration about America, that kind of thing. But what the 11th hour thing is that they had signed this peace treaty hours before this in a railroad car in France someplace. I'm not exactly sure. And they just decided to essentially, what would be really neat is let's make it at 11 o'clock. Since it's November the 11th, let's make it at 11 o'clock. Then we'll have it the 11th day, at the 11th hour,
and people were killing
month.
each other right up until that time.
People were right. Let's let our boys just go ahead and kill each other.
So we can have our 11s. Get the numbers in a row.
Yeah, and we have read these. Well, I mean, it's funny if it isn't your father or brother that's catching a bullet in the face, and it is funny. I mean, it's funny how we can sort of look back now, something like 100 years later, and say, man, what an evil thing to do. But they did it, and I guess
that's what governments are best at, is doing evil things.
Well,
and calling themselves good the whole time.
I suppose if you can imagine what it might be like to be one of those people that was killed after the peace treaty was being a relative of one of those people that was killed after the peace treaty was signed, and then you're essentially your loved one died for nothing, as though your loved one didn't die for nothing in World War I anyway. Other than sort of the collapse of empires, which wasn't what the purpose of the war was in the first place. World War I's really sort of importance was these collapse of these old empires.
Didn't World War I start because some prince got assassinated, Prince Ferdinand or something like that?
Archduke Ferdinand, sure, in Serbia.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really sort of a dumb assassination in the first place, but those guys with the black hand or whatever it was, the clenched fist, whatever they were, they they got what they wanted. They got a full-scale destabilization of the empires of Europe, including the collapse of Russia comes out of World War I. The collapse of the Tsar in Germany, the Austro-Hungarian Empire shatters, the Ottoman Empire shatters. Essentially the monarchy in England is done away with as a result. Partially, it's that's the case. France doesn't get a big change other than the fact that, I don't know, all their men are dead. That's a pretty big deal. But I find that Armistice Day is celebration of some very sad things, and that's pretty much how people view World War I in the first place. And
so, Mark, you've got a story that you want to tell about one veteran from World War II.
World War I.
World War I. I apologize about that.
I know you don't know the difference, but it's okay.
I know the difference somewhat. I know some differences. But I want to get to your story here. It has to do with the veterans and Veterans Day and all that, and we'll get into it. But first, let's go to Skype, where we've got Aaron on the line in Philly. Aaron, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, Mark, Ian.
Hey.
I was wanting to call in about the Free State Project, and you're talking about how the Free State Project, New Hampshire, in its Freedom Index for the Mercatus Institute has dropped to 4th place.
That's correct, yeah.
Over the last, I don't know how many years.
It's only been going on for a few, at least that we've been paying attention to for a few years.
I think there are 4 different ratings from the Freedom of the 50 States.
Right. So I dug a little deeper, and it seems like it was a little short-sighted when you picked New Hampshire, as it was a terrible place for education, family friendliness, jobs.
Actually, this is the
regulatory
number one place
environment.
to raise kids.
So, according to the Mercatus Center, they went from 40th to 20th between 2001 and 2010.
Isn't 20th
And
better?
20th was a big raise, and it was largely because of your passage of gay marriage, which put you from 33rd to 1st in marriage freedom, I believe. So, I'm curious. The Free State Project has been there for 10 years, and you've dropped in almost every category except for marijuana, civil liberties, and alcohol.
Well, when you say the Free State Project has been here for 10 years, we need to consider what 10 years ago was for the Free State Project. We moved 9 years ago, and I was the 135th mover. Ian was the 134th, and I believe the person along with him was the 133rd. So that was 9 years ago.
Right.
At this point, we have 1,800 people in state. There's been a tremendous rise. You have to get a certain amount of synergy, and I don't think that the Free State Project hasn't started yet. People have decided to pick up and move, but the Free State Project doesn't start until we reach 20,000 signers, and we're not yet to 18,000. So, I mean, this is on your mark, get ready.
Yeah, that's true. And there's no doubt New Hampshire was absolutely the right choice. I mean, there were 10 candidate states.
I want to hear his proposals as opposed to why it's not, but I want to hear more about that.
But I'd like to explain why it is the right choice, because there were 10 candidate states. The candidate states were chosen mostly by their population, so small population states were pretty much the options. They excluded Rhode Island and excluded Hawaii due to rampant corruption and socialism in those two places. But otherwise, it was population-based. And New Hampshire won overwhelmingly in the vote, and it won for many, many reasons. In fact, there's 101 of them that you can actually watch over at 101reasonsfilm.com. That's a video version of what was originally a text file. It was originally sent out in text form, this long list of just an incredible persuasive list of why New Hampshire is arguably already the freest place in all of the 50 states. And so, I mean, not everyone, but most people were persuaded by that, and New Hampshire won overwhelmingly in the vote of the 10 states. So there are a lot of reasons why. We can't talk about them all.
Aaron, have you seen that movie?
I haven't.
Okay,
actually.
great.
I'm going to go watch it.
Yeah, you
I
should.
recommend.
But
It's
go
only
ahead.
an hour long. Go ahead.
Make your case. This is one of my favorite things, is to sort of the revisionist history about which place should we have chosen for the Free State Project, because I have one too, and it's better than yours. It's American Samoa. There's 60,000 people there, and it's warm. Go ahead.
So one of the other choices for the Free State Project was Delaware, which coincidentally
my
has
choice.
risen 5 points in its freedom since 2001. So that's a 7-point swing between the down and the up. And that wasn't even, I mean, I'm curious, when you guys factored in where to move, it seems like you picked like the city on a hill, like let's pick the best, freest place in the entire United States and make it more free.
That's a fine idea, but I don't think that was the reason it was picked. I don't recall the Mercatus Center's rating being among the 101 reasons when I read it.
No, it didn't exist.
Back in, I think it did. If I can go here and take a look at
Oh, really? I thought it was only around for a few years.
The Mercatus rating, one existed in 2001.
Oh, okay.
And then in 2007, New Hampshire was also rated number one.
No, it was
We were
definitely
already
not
here
on the
by
list. It was definitely not.
And then by 2009, New Hampshire slipped to 2, and then 2004, number 4. And we'll see where it's at. The expectation is it'll be higher than number 4 again in the future. But essentially, I've talked to people. That's all I know. So the reason that they picked it didn't have to do with how free it was. It had to do with the marketing of the people that were in New Hampshire. Somebody created the 101 reasons that New Hampshire should be one of these states, and there were 10 of them on the table. Mm-hmm. And, good marketing matters. The second closest was Wyoming, and it wasn't particularly close.
No, it wasn't really that close.
Yeah, it wasn't particularly close. And for me, my choices, and I didn't vote because I decided to wait until they voted for whatever reason. I don't think there's a particularly good reason to have done that, but I decided to wait until they voted, and I had picked Delaware and Alaska. So different people had different choices.
855-450 free. Stand by, Aaron. We can continue. It's Free Talk Live.
The vets had them on antibiotics as well as steroids. Nothing worked.
The vet had given him a cortisone.
The vet prescribed an antihistamine.
The vet thought that Molly was just old.
Probably $300 to $400 every 4 months.
At least $5,000 in vet bills.
All total, $2,700 in doggy fees, and all it took was one container of Dinovite.
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
The omega-3 fatty acids,
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
The ingredients are what the veterinarian said he was lacking.
Within 2 days, his scratching, it seemed to go away.
After 5 weeks, her fur is beautiful. She is totally happy.
Molly's gotten this puppy look. Her coat has sheen.
Oh, yes.
Everything we tried failed except the Dinovite.
My vet was completely blown away. 859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined, from where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
November 11th used to be called Armistice Day. Armistice Day was about celebrating the end of war, not the nationalistic celebration of perpetual death that day has become. Here at Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, we celebrate Armistice Day by putting our money where our heart is. Shop online at rrbi.co November 11th, and Roberts & Roberts will give all the profit of every sale to antiwar.com. Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Roberts & Roberts has been your trusted source for precious metals for nearly 40 years, and we're anti-war and pro-free market. Banks drive war. Why use their money? By investing in silver, gold, and Bitcoin, you are exiting the corrupt system that enables war. Roberts & Roberts, we don't feed the banks. Roberts & Roberts' website is rrbi.co. That's rrbi.co. And our toll-free number is 800-874-9760.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. When I found the Free State Project, I knew it was the key to achieving liberty in my lifetime. It's awesome to be surrounded by like-minded, freedom-loving activists who've moved here to New Hampshire. From politics to civil disobedience, we have it all. Where I came from, it felt that no matter what I did, liberty was dying. Perhaps you feel the same way? Call 888-377-2515 now to learn more about the Free State Project. That's 888-377-2515 or visit freestateproject.org.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us right here. Toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE. And you can join us on Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. That toll-free number again, 855-450-3733. Go to saveatpurse.com if you want to save 20% easy on pretty much anything you need to buy through Amazon. Now, Amazon's already got great prices and a huge selection, so if you can knock another 20% off, why wouldn't you? Just go to saveatpurse.com, get started there. The trick is you got to have Bitcoin. That's how you get these incredible discounts. SaveAtPurse.com, their site, their intro video will explain it to you. It's very simple. I've done it more than 24 times over the last year, and I'm a huge fan of what they're doing over at SaveAtPurse.com. And in fact, They hopefully will be having a cool new announcement. I think they've made it publicly at this point, but they're going to like open up their own marketplace. And I'm not sure exactly how that's going to look or what it's going to be like, but if Purse is behind it, it's probably going to be pretty awesome. So go ahead and get started over at saveatpurse.com. When you sign up through that link, Free Talk Live will get a very small portion of any purchases you make from that point forward because, well, they can only give us a small portion considering that
huge savings.
They're knocking a huge amount of money off the cost at Amazon for you. So save big time. Go to Save at Purse, saveatpurse.com. As we go back to Aaron listening in Philly with some questions about the Free State Project. I don't know if we'd answered your concerns or where we were at with that discussion, Aaron.
It seems like you guys. I won't deny that it was one of the best choices. And like, who's to look in hindsight and say what's what? Because obviously, you got a bunch of people excited and people are passionate and they're moving, and you're collecting a bunch of people. That's success. The only other thing I wanted to mention is last night, Ian, you were talking about the Uber drivers, and no one else has illegal Uber drivers making the headlines. And I wanted to refute that.
Great.
Philadelphia has had hundreds of Uber drivers driving illegally in the city. Many were fined, arrested, had their cars impounded, and
they made headlines. They made one of them made the front page of the newspaper.
Several of them. It got to the point where the mayor actually came out in support of the Uber drivers because it became so politically expedient to do so because everybody was upset about it. They didn't want these Uber drivers arrested. They didn't want the cab monopoly. They didn't want to have these problems. And we were already past that point, to the point where the police are no longer enforcing it.
That's great.
Because otherwise it would occupy all their time. So, I mean, that's one battle that we fought and won in another city just by the free markets of everybody wanting something.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for the correction there.
So, I'm all for the Uber.
Were any of those Uber drivers libertarians who are advocating, open marketplaces in the media?
See, that's
Obviously
another thing.
not.
Yeah, so not everybody has their own liberty issues that they care about, and that's what drives them. And so the places where I was mentioning in New Hampshire that are my objections is the places where you guys are free are not necessarily ones that a lot of families care about, or your average citizen don't really care about their civil liberties. They don't use them that much. It's not a big
New
deal.
Hampshire's free in a lot of ways. I mean, Mark, didn't New Hampshire win like the #1 place to raise a family?
Yeah, that was one of the lists. We should really have a collection of all these things that New Hampshire has, come in first at, because it often gets brought up when people are attempting to sort of, this revisionist history thing where, where would have the best place to have picked for the Free State Project? And I'm as guilty as anybody. Every once in a while, I'll look at should we have picked here? Should we have picked there? I think it's interesting, frankly.
Yeah, I'd be curious about that list you mentioned with the family friendliness. The Mercatus Institute had rated you 40th from family friendliness back in 2001 when you started. And 20th was largely because of the legalization of gay marriage, which also
I don't remember who it was, but I mean, the Free State Project made a post and linked to some group that had done a study, and they looked at, I'm sure, crime rate and things like that. And of course, there's almost no violent crime in New Hampshire, and like freedom to educate, and number of other factors. Obviously, whatever factors you're bringing in depends on how the list is going to turn out.
Whatever family friendly means to the individual. So
right.
One of the things, the three biggest complaints about the Free State Project are not how free is the state of New Hampshire versus the other states, because most people are moving from places like New York or where you live, I believe, Pennsylvania, and
right.
New Jersey and California and Florida and Texas and places like that, where it's just not a comparison. Some of the biggest complaints are, well, I can't move because my family doesn't live there. My family lives where I live. I can't move because I have a job. Those are number one and number two, and those are perfectly good reasons not to move for the Free State Project. Number three is the weather. But I'd like to compare what I've learned living in New Hampshire versus living in, say, Delaware or someplace like that. I'm from Florida originally. We don't have ice that falls from the sky. So I've only lived in Florida and New Hampshire. And the thing that's better about New Hampshire than, say, living in the Northeast someplace like Delaware, Pennsylvania, is you guys are constantly freezing and thawing and freezing and thawing. So you never know whether you're going to have black ice and you're going to step on the brakes of your car and it's not going to stop. Whereas in New Hampshire, it's frozen from December all the way to March.
You've got black ice all the time.
It is frozen solid, and the ice has been taken care of by the salt on the road, and all you have to worry about at that point is cold.
So I think something that also factored in with people deciding to choose New Hampshire of the 10 candidate states. Like, for instance, there are some people who will complain about New Hampshire and they'll say, "Oh, you guys, weed's not legal there. It's legal in Colorado. Why wouldn't you want to be there?" I mean, that's cool.
Weed wasn't legal in Colorado when we picked it.
But it doesn't matter. But Colorado still wouldn't have qualified because it's too high of a population. But it's not about a one-issue thing. It's already mostly a free place compared to the rest of the country, and it's got a political system that is accessible by the average person. So here's my question, Mark. You used to live in Florida for 30-something years of your life. How many state representatives did you know personally in Florida?
What do you mean by personally?
Like, you knew their name, they knew who you were, you've had a conversation with them.
I think that was it Donna Smith might have been able to at one point pick me out of a lineup.
Okay.
But that would have been one.
Yeah. How many here?
Dozens.
Yeah. So how about you, Aaron? How many state representatives do you personally know in Pennsylvania?
So I grew up in Ohio, and I knew one there. He was my representative, but that was it.
Was he a libertarian?
You were active.
I should specify, how many libertarian state representatives did you know?
No, he was a Republican.
Okay.
And I don't mean to attack you guys, but
no, it's fine. These are tough questions. They're good questions. I mean, people have a lot of objections as to why they don't want to move here. They don't understand why certain things were chosen. New Hampshire is an accessible political system, so it's already a mostly free place compared to the rest of the country, and the possibilities for it to become more free, what with thousands of liberty-minded people converging here and already having won political seats. As Mark pointed out, the Free State Project hasn't even officially begun the move yet, and we've got more than a dozen people in seats in state representative seats here in New Hampshire. I mean, if that isn't an unprecedented success already, even if this Free State Project weren't to have another person move tomorrow, if it was all to shut down, we'd still have had more accomplishment from a libertarian perspective here in a decade than the Libertarian Party has probably had across the entire country in 40 years. And I challenge anyone to refute that.
No, I just don't want to see you guys in an echo chamber where everybody's rah-rah and we're all circular and everybody's patting each other.
I'm 100% with you on that, and a lot of people, they claim that the Free Talk Live is an echo chamber because they're looking from the outside. The fact is that a good percentage of people who move for the Free State Project revile Ian. I mean, they're sick. They don't like his activism.
Oh yeah, people talk S about me all the time. Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate it. 855-450 free.
$10,000 or more to the IRS?
Get on board with the Tax Admiral. Don't pick on the IRS alone. I'll cut penalties and reduce your overall tax bill. Sometimes I can even get it zeroed out completely.
We're an A-rated company helping people clean up their mess with the IRS.
If you owe $10,000 or more, then call the Tax Admiral.
Call 800-287-7180. And that's 800-287-7180. 800-287-7180.
Hey, Berkey Guy here. Are you still drinking unfiltered tap water? Does your water contain chlorine or fluoride? Will you have drinkable water in an emergency? The Berkey Guy is here to help you remove these and other potential contaminants from your water, thus helping you drink clean, purified water. We offer Berkey water purification systems at the lowest available prices online. Don't go another moment without Berkey system. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands drink clean, purified water. Join them by visiting goberkey.com or call me, the Berkey Guy, at 877-886-3653. That's 877-886-3653.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
Who told you to go this way? You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video or audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait now. Wait a minute. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Pure Life Water, helping you drink better and live better by providing a zero-calorie alternative to sugary drinks. Visit us at nestle-purelife.us. When kids are playing, they often don't want to stop to keep hydrated, so send them out with a bottle of water and encourage them to take frequent drink breaks, or call them inside for a quick sip. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
Here's an urgent alert from the Student Loan Hotline. The average student loan debt is $25,000. Have you been out of college for 10 or more years and you're still making your student loan payments? If you are struggling with paying off your student loan, if you are past due, we can help. Nationwide Student Loan Relief can now restructure your student loans. We can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop harassing collection calls, and even eliminate your student loan payment. If you can't afford your student loans, or if you're past due and you need help, you must call right now. We will restructure your loan or your money back, and that's a guarantee. So call the Student Loan Hotline right now. 800-291-2865. 800-291-2865. 800-291-2865. 800-291-2865.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us right here, toll free at 855-450 free. Coming up, a Veterans Day story for you. Mark, you're going to tell us about a World War I veteran and his story. We'll get into that here, 855-450-3733. Also, you can join us online. Just drop on by freetalklive.com, and please enjoy the features we have waiting for you there. If you're online at all, you do need to take steps to protect yourself, and ProXPN can help you with that. Just go to proxpn.com and use code FTL50, and you'll save big time on a virtual private network that encrypts your online data. So before your information reaches your internet service provider, it's encrypted, which means your ISP can't spy on you anymore. They can't tell on you anymore. They can't sell your data ever again. As soon as you start using ProXPN, go to proxpn.com, code FTL50. That gets you 50% off of the regular monthly price when you get the annual account. And by the way, that price is good for the lifetime of your account. So go to proxpn.com, get started there, and keep this in mind. ProXPN keeps no logs of your activities whatsoever. Doesn't matter if you're using Mac, Windows, iOS, Android, or Linux. Support is there for you, and it's super easy to get started. proxpn.com, code FTL50. Take back the privacy that is your right. Let's go to Ethan, listening in California. You're on Free Talk Live, Ethan, with Ian and Mark.
Peace, you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Welcome, sir. Go ahead.
I wanted to first commend you for reminding everybody what today is about, and that's peace rather than memorializing and even promoting this war culture that we have today. So,
yeah, it seems very difficult to honor veterans. And at the same, like today, in today's culture, it seems difficult to honor veterans and promote peace at the same time. But I imagine it was very, very easy post-World War I.
Right, and we forget, or we've been trained to not think about, the first name of World War I was the war to end all wars. And so the only way they convinced this generation of young people to go fight and die was, okay, this is it, right? And actually, we all the servicemen, they'll present such type of thinking, really ignoring the fact that, like Smedley Butler, who was the most decorated Marine in U.S. history, said wrote "War is a Racket," and he pointed out how all the institutions are benefiting from young people dying.
No doubt about it. It's a powerful book or pamphlet. It's relatively short, right?
Yeah, it's call it yeah. I mean, it's a big pamphlet or a short book. It's probably, I don't know, 60 pages maybe.
Absolutely worth the time reading. The specifics are like written as if yesterday. He's so wise.
It's prescient.
Yeah, his style of writing is easy to read. It is sort of conversational, backwoodsy conversational kind of.
That's my kind of reading. I don't like that academic crap.
It is not academic in any way. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Ethan, for sharing your. Anything else you want to get out? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I saw the post online today about the walls, and I just wanted to compare the idea of building a wall to the idea of celebrating war. And actually, what this holiday has turned into in celebrating this war culture, walls do the same thing. And the only thing good about walls, historically speaking, has been when they come down. Right? And so
where was this post about walls?
I'm sorry, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought there was a Facebook post contrasting.
Yeah, it was. There's a Facebook post. Ian doesn't see them all.
There you go.
I just think that walls stop us from developing. Not that there's not a problem. I'm not negating that. I'm just saying that walls actually promote war and facilitate war, just like
absolutely. Yeah, if you divide people, you tell them stories about how the people on the other side of that wall are evil, and you get them to believe all kind of propaganda about it. Then you push people apart, you create strife and division, and certainly walls do lead to that. Ethan, thanks for the call tonight. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. When he mentioned a post, I went to our website, freetalklive.com, thinking maybe there was something there. Of course, that's where everyone can go to, freetalklive.com. Now, you and some other folks do post regularly on our Facebook page, so there's stuff that's on the Facebook page that isn't on freetalklive.com. Freetalklive.com is actually better than Facebook, in my opinion, because our website actually allows you to create the content. Now, when you go to the Facebook page, that's sort of curated by us, right? There's Mark and like 2 or 3 or 4 other people. I don't know how many folks you have on your team there, Mark, but there's some great volunteer listeners who will post things to the Facebook page. But you as a listener cannot go and post to our Facebook page. However, you as a listener can go to freetalklive.com, arguably the much more important website, and you can post right there to freetalklive.com through our Reddit-based system, and it's totally free to do that. So if there's some sort of story about whatever that you want to share with us and have us consider to talk about it on the radio perhaps, the best way to do it is not to submit it to our Facebook page, but in point of fact to submit it to freetalklive.com. So please do that when you get a chance. It's a brand new website. It looks great. It works well, and please give it a shot. If you haven't been in a long time, you should definitely drop back in and take a look. So once again, that's freetalklive.com. So you can share your thoughts with us here on Veterans Day. And I did like what he was pointing out there, that, Armistice Day was about the end of World War I.
It wasn't the end of the worst conflict in human history. In many ways, World War I was a real turning point. There were still, I guess, that was the first war, at least the first major war, that more people died from bullets than died from bayonets or pointy metal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big change. When you're killing somebody up close, you're not going to be able to, A, kill as many of them, and B, you have to look your enemy in the eye.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably an entirely different experience than being able to watch somebody fall in the distance. And now you don't even do that. They're
in drones.
They're a world away.
Let's talk to Dale. He's in Tennessee. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Mark, and what you're saying is absolutely true. World War I was industrialized war where they had, let's go to the lab and see what we can come up with and see how many people we can kill with what we come up with. It was gas, submarines, airplanes, All these things changed warfare from what it had been for centuries.
Yep.
And the reason I called was that, okay, today was Veterans Day, and I understand the thing about veterans, but it was originally Armistice Day, the day to look back on this and realize we don't need to do this anymore. You know, and I've heard you talk about the last guy to die in World War One. I can't recall his name. He died like 90 minutes before the war was over because they didn't have the smarts to say, oh, nobody shoot anybody this morning. Just stay here because it'll be over at 11 o'clock.
We've read this, and actually, I believe the last Canadian to die died at 11:01. Everybody was surrounded the 11 o'clock hour by like 2 minutes. So these 5 guys from like England, France, the United States, Canada, and I can't remember, Germany, they had the last ones. Oh. The French guy actually died with a bullet through the forehead, going to yell at his friends, "Hey, they're going to have hot soup!" Pow!
Oh, no.
Yep. And you know, and to see that this has turned into Veterans Day, I didn't pay attention enough to know when they did this, but to me, it's more a celebration of war than it is anything.
That's absolutely what it's turned into.
I mean, it's definitely like the military-industrial complex got behind it and said, we're gonna promote this because it just makes people want to go out.
I think you're absolutely right about that. I think it's was a very calculated move. Thank you, Dale, for your call tonight. Appreciate hearing from you. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We can't have people thinking about peace. We need to be thinking about their love for war and fear of other countries invading because military-industrial complex needs more funding. It's Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Armistice Day Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is down $3 at $1,087 per ounce. Silver is down 10 cents at $14.38 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $315 US. Today, in observance of Armistice Day, we will be donating all profit from all sales to antiwar.com. Buy online today and support peace at rrbi.co or give us a call, 800-874-9760.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us toll-free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And joining you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
We've got a website. It's freetalklive.com. We just mentioned to you that it was brand newly redesigned. If you want to help support Free Talk Live, then please go to amp.freetalklive.com. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote, and it helps us, your $5 a month, helps us get Free Talk Live on more radio stations around the country so we can talk about the ideas of peace and liberty, which are not generally discussed on national talk radio. Sure, there's some talk show hosts that'll talk about liberty out of one side of their mouth, but they don't really understand what that means, because on the other side of their mouth, they're talking about going to war. And you can't have liberty if you're stealing from people to fund a war effort. And you can't have liberty if you're stealing from people to fund people going to school or whatever other government program happens to be your favorite. If you've got a good idea, then if you've got liberty, that means you have to persuade people to support your good idea, whether it's, feeding the homeless or fighting some other, group of men and women in some other plot of land around the world. You should have to be voluntarily or recruiting people with persuasion to back those ideas. And government doesn't do that. Government doesn't persuade. It just simply uses force. So anybody that's on one hand talking about liberty or writing books with the word liberty in their title and acting like they care about it, but then on the other side of things is talking about all the things they want the government to do, yeah, they don't get liberty. So if you want to share your thoughts with us, you can do that. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Now, Mark, did you want to tell us a story about a World War I veteran who is long since gone from this earth?
So it's his name's Charles White Whittlesey. And Charles was born in Wisconsin, but they quickly moved to Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and he graduated from Pittsfield High School in 1905. And then he went on to Williams College, and he was a member of St. Anthony's Hall there and graduated in 1905. And he was considered the third brightest student in his class. Now, I think it's interesting that they would decide that somebody was the third brightest. You don't really see that done anymore. That would make somebody feel bad if they were called the third brightest, because then they're not the brightest. Everybody's got to be a special snowflake these days. So nonetheless, I'm sure he thought that was quite an accomplishment. Went on to Harvard Law School. He was known as the Count because of his demeanor. His accent, his poise. And he established a law office with a friend of his from Harvard in New York City. He was a member of the American Socialist Party for a few years before he decided that they were just too radical for him. Charles Whittlesey was basically a Democrat, what we have today. And, nothing particularly radical or special about that. When World War I came around, many young men saw it as their important patriotic duty to sign up. And when the United States decided to get into the war, Woodrow Wilson, who had said that
he wouldn't get them into war,
he was going to keep us out, buckled to the Republicans. And for the Republicans out there, I'm one too, but I'm sorry, it was the Republicans that wanted this really, really bad.
Did he buckle, or did he always intend to get into war and just lied about it?
That's up to you, and you can put the conspiracy theories together. But if you want to, if the word Lusitania is coming out of your mouth right now, I'd like to tell you that the Germans put out newspaper ads warning that they were going to sink that ship. So there was that isn't a particularly good reason to get into war. If you're going to be moving arms and supplies across the Atlantic, expect your ship to get sunk, whether it's got passengers on it or not. Mm-hmm. So anyway, Whittlesey signs up, and he's one of the 1,000,000 men that Blackjack Pershing takes off to the European theater. At this point, you got to consider Germany's basically beaten. It's been a long, hard slog, but they're really not going to be able to turn this around. It was all the powers are exhausted, but pretty much everything's going to likely end up where it is with Germany, sort of a nominal loss. Well, the United States gets in because they're mad, and they send 1,000,000 men over there, and it turns the tides completely. Now, what Whittlesey is he's a major at the Battle of Somme, and he does what he's supposed to do. They're told, advance at the Argonne Forest, and he takes his 500 men, who are all from the Lower East Side. They speak 42 different languages. If you can imagine the command difficulties that he might have with a unit like this, and he takes those men in. They take out machine gun nests. They do their job, and turns out the people on his flank didn't do their job. He's cut off. They're behind enemy lines because nobody else advanced the way they advanced. They did what they were supposed to do, and they're stuck. 5 days they're back there. After 4 days, they've been, the waves of German attacks are coming. Yeah. It's not like they're just saying, oh, we see that there's Americans behind our line. This is fine with us. That's my German accent, sorry. They're fine with that. No, they're not. The waves are coming in, and these guys are holding them off. There are about 500 of them. Half of them at this point are casualties. Half of those are dead. And, the German commander sends...
So you can have a casualty without death?
Yeah, casualty is basically...
injury or death?
No longer can be employed as a soldier at that point, although they can still fight. Like if you're behind enemy lines and you're a casualty, you're likely still doing something about it, right? So the German... commander sends in a POW that they've got. He's carrying a white flag, and he says a message in English. The suffering of your wounded men can be heard over here in the German lines. We are appealing to your humane sentiments to stop. A white flag shown by one of your men will tell us that you agree with these conditions. Please treat Private Lowell R. Hollingshead, that's the bearer of the flag, as an honorable man. He's quite a soldier. We envy you, the German commanding officer. He's just telling him, hey, look, these honorable men, we're honorable men of war. It's time to give up. It's over. You're behind enemy lines. Half of your men are casualties, and the other half are dead.
So wait, the Germans were going to let them turn around and walk away?
No, they're going to take them as prisoners of war. Okay. But they were going to stop shooting them and treat their wounded. Okay. It's preferable, perhaps, to what they're dealing with. Whittlesey, the Count here, they call him his nickname is Galloping Charlie, Charles Whittlesey. He says, you go to hell. His later account says he didn't say that at all. He just didn't see that there was any particular reason for a reply to this. But his men say he said, you go to hell. And
he's going to fight to the bitter end, huh?
Yeah. He ordered white sheets that had been placed as signals to Allied aircraft to drop supplies be pulled in so they would not be mistaken for surrender signals. And that night, a relief force arrived and the Germans retreated. Of the original 540 troops involved in the advance, 107 had been killed, 63 were missing, and 190 were wounded, and only 194 were able to walk out of that ravine. For this, two of the men, Charles Whittlesey and his second in command, both received the Medal of Honor.
Okay.
This was at a time when officers could receive the Medal of Honor. There were times when in history that they couldn't. This was a harrowing experience, and these guys performed as valiantly as any soldier could be expected to perform. There's no doubt in my mind that Charles Whittlesey is a brave man. France put up a Lost Battalion monument to these guys for what they did.
That's what they were called, the Lost Battalion?
The Lost Battalion. The tabloid press at the time, remember, they didn't have e-news and all this dreck that that's consumed. They had newspapers, and so they had sort of a much more robust tabloid press, especially in New York City and that sort of thing. Tabloid press makes a huge deal about these guys being behind the lines. Really blows up Galloping Charlie into quite a war hero. They milked the story for all it was worth and really made something of it. In 1921, well after the secession of the hostilities, it's an event at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Sergeant York and Whittlesey and another fella, Samuel Woodfill, all Medal of Honor winners. They do these services there. Then Charles Whittlesey, he books passage to Havana on a freighter.
Wasn't illegal back then, huh?
No, not a big deal. He has dinner with the captain. The captain says he's in high spirits. Charles Whittlesey walks out on deck. He's had enough of the stinking, rotting flesh that visits him at night and the smoke from the battlefield that won't let him sleep. He jumps into the ocean. Another one of your war heroes just can't handle Washington's stinking policies. And he ends it all.
Our toll-free number, if you want to join us here, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. It's Free Talk Live. As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, November 11th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.44 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,089 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $323. Antiwar.com reports in mid-2013, the Islamic State forces surrounded the Kuwairs airbase in Syria's Aleppo province, trapping a number of Syrian troops within. Since then, the base has been under intermittent attack and under virtual total lockdown, with the troops still stuck inside. Military sources reported that the siege formally ended Tuesday with an advance of Syrian ground troops backed by Russian airstrikes and Hezbollah forcing their way to the gates of the base, allowing hundreds of soldiers within to finally leave. The Syrian state media presented the battle as a great military victory, with President Assad reportedly calling to congratulate the head of defense for the airbase for holding out for so long. The military suggested the offensive is continuing to try to secure the entire area around the base. The Kuwairs airbase siege has been an important story within Syria for years, with protests held in Damascus by family members of the troops trapped within, demanding that the military do more to rescue them. For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. UPI reports a federal appeals court on Tuesday suspended a judge's ruling that said the National Security Agency's phone data collection program is unconstitutional and should be shut down immediately. The United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit Court issued its stay Tuesday, one day after a federal district judge made his ruling. District Court Judge Richard Leon ruled Monday that the NSA's program, called PRISM, goes too far against citizens' privacy and its goal of combating terrorism. His decision constituted an order barring the agency from further collection of data on the plaintiffs in the case, California attorney J.J. Little and his law firm, but it did not have sufficient authority to outlaw the practice against all Americans. Government attorneys responded with an emergency request to halt Leon's order, saying it interferes with a terror-fighting program that had previously been legally upheld by other court rulings. The once-secret program, which was revealed in 2013 by former defense contractor and whistleblower Edward Snowden, is already set to be closed and replaced by November 29th. Leon's decision came 2 years after he ruled in a similar fashion, but this time he did not stay in order for the NSA to cease mining callers' data. The appellate court said the plaintiffs in the case, those opposed to the NSA program, have until noon local time on Friday to file an appeal to Tuesday's decision. Government attorneys have indicated that they will take the issue to the U.S. Supreme Court if the order against the NSA is upheld. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports thousands of protesters took to the streets across the U.S. on Tuesday to demand a $15 per hour minimum wage and union rights for fast food workers, a campaign intended to attract support from national political candidates ahead of the 2016 elections. Organizers said thousands of low-wage workers walked off their jobs in some 270 cities across the country to take part in the Fight for 15 campaign and vowed that demonstrators would descend on the Republican presidential debate in Milwaukee on Tuesday evening. Hundreds of demonstrators took to the streets in New York, where they were joined by Mayor Bill de Blasio, and some 500 marched through downtown Los Angeles. Events were also held in Detroit, Philadelphia, and Minneapolis. Leaders said at the outset that workers from McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, KFC, and other restaurants would take part, but Lisa McComb, a spokeswoman for McDonald's, said that only a handful of its employees took part in the protest she called staged events, and that only 3 workers walked off of the job. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Following the announcement of First Communion, The Holy Spookerist, the first hardcore pornographic movie to be filmed in Vatican City since 1982's classic adult feature Pope Fisters 4, Onion reporter spoke to Herschel Savage, director of the film.
It's a huge honor for me and everyone else involved with this film. This is where they shot Pope Fisters 4. I mean, that movie's a masterpiece. Well, when we wrote up the script, we sent it over to the Vatican to get the Pope's approval and see if he had any notes, but he loved it just the way it was.
The highly anticipated pornographic film, which stars Ron Jeremy as the horny sea himself, Pope Benedict the 69th, will reportedly contain graphic sex scenes filmed in the Sistine Chapel, St. Peter's Square, and the Pope-mobile, among various other notable sites within the Vatican.
Well, actually, I'm just watching a cut of this amazing scene we shot last night where Pope Benedict is gangbanging a bunch of nuns in his bed, and it was great because the Pope let us use his bedroom. Tomorrow we're shooting the scene where two nuns fuck each other on St. Peter's tomb using strap-on crucifixes. I think people are really going to like this movie.
This is the Onion News Network.
You're supposed to.
Following the recent national car break-ins in the Vegas East Rock neighborhood, police at
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up when we get a chance, we're talking about Veterans Day at the moment, but on the way, Missouri University Police are now requesting that students contact them if they encounter hurtful speech. We'll get back to the wussification of the college campuses out there. It just keeps getting worse, it seems. It's Ian and Mark in the studio with you here tonight. For those of you just tuning in, Mark, you just, in the last hour, the very last portion of the last hour, told a story about a man named Charles White Whittlesey.
That's right.
He was the leader of a particular lost battalion in World War I that was just ravaged by the German troops after being cut off from their other troops or whatever.
Right. Behind enemy lines at the Somme and the Argonne Forest.
Hundreds of people perished during this battle.
Yeah, nearly 200.
Yeah. And this guy ended up killing himself shortly after the war. He jumped off a ship.
Years.
Jumped off of some kind of harbor freight ship or something.
Yeah, he was headed from New York to Havana. And he,
He left a note? Did you say he left a note?
He left several notes.
Okay.
He left letters to all of his loved ones, including the letter from the German officer that was requesting his surrender. This was sort of, this is a valuable piece of history. That letter he left to his second in command, who was that was George G. McGurty. It's a sad story.
And was it in his letters that he expressed that he didn't want to live with himself anymore, and that sick of seeing the death in the his dreams or his nightmares?
We don't know entirely what are in the letters. So many veterans kill themselves. It usually has to do with some kind of remorse, some kind of
torture.
Yeah, it's pain. Oftentimes it's regret surrounding who they weren't able to save and that sort of thing. In this case, he had nearly half of his men were dead. Going on, close to half of his men died in this conflict. And that's really the question. In World War I, it's abundantly clear to many people who fought in it that it really wasn't for anything.
Well, some politicians said so there must have been an important reason for that.
At that time, that was often it, but you sort of go there with this romantic feeling of, I'm going to get off the farm, and I'm going to do something important, and I'm going to make a difference.
Women love a man in uniform.
You catch a bullet for nothing. Your life has changed. You see all kinds of horrifying things. The most horrifying war that
what's
had been
that
fought
really worth?
And essentially nothing changed for people on the Allied side. Nothing particularly good was created by this. What would have been the terrible thing if Germany had taken Alsace-Lorraine or whatever, this area in France that it wanted from France?
Nothing.
What difference would it make if a few counties were on one side or the other side of the border of Germany and France? Ultimately, to today's world. And mostly what World War I brought us, and especially the United States intervention in World War I, was World War II.
Whoopee.
And yeah, that's great, right? Like World War I brought us the rise of communism. if it hadn't have been for Russia's involvement in World War I, you probably would have seen some kind of transition that didn't result in Stalin ending up as killing millions of Russians. You would have probably seen some kind of, ask historians, you would have seen some kind of transition that didn't result in the corporal, Adolf Hitler, ascending to power in Germany and killing millions. You would have had all these millions of people not die, all this lack of suffering. And it really comes down to this the nonsense of World War I, and you can look at the United States specifically as far as Adolf Hitler goes, because if the United States hadn't gotten involved, if Woodrow Wilson wouldn't have broken weak on his promise, if the United States wouldn't have gotten involved, then the weight, the scales, the balance of the war wouldn't have been thrown off so greatly. Germany wouldn't have got this tyrannical Treaty of Versailles, wouldn't have been shoved down their throats, and they wouldn't have felt the necessity to lash back in World War II and bring somebody to power like Chancellor Adolf Hitler. So I guess we can look at World War II, and we can, if you just look at it in individually, which is a highly
shouldn't do that with history.
Dishonest way to look at history. If you just look at World War II, you can say, we saved the Jews. That's what we fought the war for. We fought to save the Jews.
But that wasn't the reason.
That wasn't the reason the war was fought at all.
Wasn't it true that they didn't know, the United States didn't know about the killings of the Jews by the time they got into the war?
Well, Life
They
magazine
didn't know about the death camps.
Life magazine had done, well, there weren't death camps at the time.
Right.
There were concentration camps because places like the United States and Western countries wouldn't allow the Jews to immigrate, which was that's a pretty big deal. When the United States turns around the ship of the damned, go look it up, Google it. There's a ship full of Jews, comes into New York Harbor. The people in the United States, the government, will not allow them to come here. They all died in
Probably
concentration
wouldn't let them come
camps.
here today, too.
I don't know the answer to that.
Donald Trump
sorry,
sure wouldn't.
your paperwork is no good.
Yeah.
You can't come here. How can you come here with no paperwork? And so all these people died in concentration camps. They died in gas chambers and these sorts of things because they didn't have paperwork and couldn't come in. Sorry. And, if it was about the Jews, if it was about saving the Jews, then, well, we could have done that. The Quakers went there before World War I, before World War II, attempting to set up a system. They brought a few Jews over, but they weren't able to get the United States government to capitulate. United States Quakers attempt to set something up after Kristallnacht, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't get through the bureaucracy. So
Kristallnacht was the night of the broken glass. Is that where people were kidnapped?
Yeah, it was a recent anniversary. I can't remember. A few nights ago was the anniversary of it, and that was when Jewish shops were destroyed by brown shirts and all the broken glass. It was called Kristallnacht. So I guess what I want to know, the question I'm asking is if we remove the good wars, let's remove the Revolutionary War.
There are no good wars.
I'm talking to the average person. I'm not talking to you, Ian. I know how you feel about wars. I'd be happy to talk to you specifically about the Revolutionary War, which I consider to be sort of one of the best. But if we remove the Revolutionary War, and if we remove, say, World War II from the conversation, what were these wars fought about? So I'm removing the good ones, and you got to tell me, what's the value? Because the United States has been at war the vast majority of its existence. And what's the value to these wars? What do you see as the value? Because I, as a Quaker, as a pacifist, I'm not interested in them, and I don't want to pay for them, and I don't want to be involved in them. I want them to stop immediately. I want the United States.
Mark, if it weren't for the soldiers, you'd be speaking German right now.
Right, I said we were going to remove World War II. I can make an argument against World War II, but
if it weren't for the soldiers, you'd be speaking Korean right now.
I suspect not. I suspect the Koreans would be speaking Korean right now. Right, like, on the one side of the Korean War was China. Probably South Korea would have been overrun. And it would be, I don't know, like China, which is ultimately getting freer at this time. I can see that there are instances where you will see more freedom for people, these wars, but what is it? What business is it of the U.S. taxpayer, the average U.S. taxpayer, whether or not South Korea exists or doesn't exist? I don't know.
That's the question for our audience, is what you're saying. Our toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. What's the value?
If we're thanking veterans for their service.
I'm not.
Okay. Well, I respect the bravery. I understand where they're coming from. I get the sacrifices that these guys have made. But as far as thanking you for your service means that I'm thanking you for what you did. And ultimately, I don't know what that's about. The United States government, it seems to me, has sent so many of its valuable young people off to die for very little.
Yeah, if I'm going to thank a veteran, it's going to be for the service of leaving the war, turning around and walking away, going AWOL, bailing out, coming home, and doing something productive with their lives. 855-450-FREE or Skype us at lrn.fm.
And control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined, from where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Mark your question for our audience here in regards to it being Veterans Day is, what's the value, this is my understanding of it, what's the value of war? These, specifically the wars, you exempted World War II and the Revolutionary War. What about all those other wars? The Korean War, Vietnam War, the World War I. What is the value of going to those wars? Was that your question?
Yeah, I think that removing those two sort of complicated wars in many ways makes the question significantly easier to ask. And on Veterans Day, you're asked, not Armistice Day. Veterans Day, Armistice Day was turned into Veterans Day, and I think in many ways it's changed the flavor of it. You're asked to thank a veteran for their service. Not to recognize valor, not to recognize the sacrifice, not to consider what the cost is for these people and what they've given, but to essentially honor the nation, because what you're supposed to do is thank them for their service
to the state.
Right, their service in that suggests therefore that the service itself was good, and this is
right. And it also suggests that the service was to you, meaning that the service was to the person doing the thanking. When in point of fact, the service was to the politicians. That's who they were ultimately serving. Those are the people who are giving them the orders that they were following. They are serving the state. They are not serving your interests. I don't believe that your interests are served by going to war. I think that only serves the interests of the politicians and the military-industrial complex.
There may very well be a just war, and if you look at throughout human history, you might be able to find a handful of them.
Maybe if it weren't funded by coercion, you could possibly consider a war to be just.
Well, even if you're not looking at coercion, even if you're looking at, like if it's a defensive war, you can see why it might. Obviously, if in any war there's going to be an aggressor and a defender, right? So in that case, defending yourself in that situation, that's not a particularly bad thing, right?
Yeah, but what is bad is the way it's funded. So when the state funds its wars, whether it's defensive or offensive, and I don't remember the last time there was a defensive one here, it's funding them through the threat of violence against the very people that it's purportedly defending. So in point of fact, it's actually aggressing against everyone in order to supposedly defend them.
It's a true statement, but that doesn't make the war bad. And any more than roads are bad because roads are paid for by taxes doesn't make the war bad because the war is paid for by taxes. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I see where you're coming from.
So that's the point I'm trying to make here is that I'll go ahead and say, okay, I'm willing to, as a pacifist, I'm willing to say there's a possibility for a just war.
Well, you may be able to drive on the road, but that doesn't mean it's a just road. It was built with stolen money.
Well, it's a good road because it's...
They're not even that good.
It doesn't...
when the last time you drove was?
Well, I don't know the comparison. It's difficult. When I see privately funded roads, I see publicly funded roads. I don't see a big difference between them generally. Now, I don't know what kind of huge technological advancements we'd have in the what I would call a mature technology of roads, of asphalt. Would there be huge leaps forward if the government wasn't involved? We can't answer that question any more than we can say would children's early childhood education be better if we got the state out of it. We don't know because the state is thoroughly involved in both roads and schools. So that's a difficult question to answer. It doesn't really address my Veterans Day question, which is what's the value of these wars? We can look at these wars historically, removing World War II, removing the Revolutionary War, because those are the ones that people are most passionate about. That's the one where you get the finger pointed at you and you hate America. If you don't support our boys who fought in World War II, you hate America. Well, it's easy for me to say, look, World War II wouldn't have existed without World War I, and that was a mistake of statecraft committed by Woodrow Wilson. He had that decision in hand. He chose the wrong way. Everybody makes mistakes. They don't have the benefit of history. But World War I undeniably created World War II. Now, the Revolutionary War, I can make an argument against that too. I can say, well, without the Revolutionary War, without the string of revolts in the colonies that led to the Revolutionary War, and it didn't end with the Revolutionary War either. Shays Rebellion, the Whiskey Rebellion, and other revolts after that also. But maybe the United States is just a revolutionary place. Maybe it's a difficult place to rule. Maybe a republic isn't the right thing for the United States. But especially a federal republic, and like we have with Washington, D.C. ruling.
It's definitely not the right thing. We need to get rid of that crap.
As a city-state over the rest of the nation. But if you look at just the neighbor to the north, Canada, I don't know of a single revolt that existed in Canada. For whatever reason, the 49th parallel, if that's what it is, I think it is, the 49th parallel, just above that, we don't have revolutions.
Maybe there's something you just don't know. I mean, how intimately familiar are you with Canadian history?
Not very, but I haven't had anybody call in, 12 years and rebut my claim.
Well, there's the invitation. If there's anyone in Canada listening who can let us know about any revolutions or revolutionary resistance up there, feel free to dial us up, even if it's not tonight, another night, if you're listening on podcast. Clue us in, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733.
But if you look at, you compare the United States to Canada, is it that bad up north? I mean, the weather stinks, but ultimately, if you just sort of look at their government and look at their people and look at their policies, there's really not that much difference.
I like the Canadian police better, generally.
Well, I don't come in contact with them, but the Canadians, I see all kinds of complaints about their police from them too.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying they're great.
I'm just saying
people.
There's essentially no difference between the United States and Canada.
It's very similar.
And Canada shows up currently higher on the world freedom charts than the United States does. But one might claim that just has to do with ruling a tenth of the amount of people as the United States does. I don't know. Some people would claim that it has to do with a variety of different reasons, but the United States and Canada is marginally freer than the United States, the land of the free and the home of the brave. But Canada's fought nearly as many wars. Many times it followed England into battle, and then after that it's followed the United States into battle. So the Revolutionary War, which not comparatively as far as wars go, not that many people died in. What was it that important?
Yeah. So is Canada really that much worse off because they still have the Queen, right?
Well, they barely have the Queen.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's changed that she's not as
she's on the money. I mean, but she's nothing else.
No, she's not in control of Canada.
When was the last time the Queen told Canada how it had to rule itself? And
that's my point, right? Like, they didn't have to have a Revolutionary War, and they're relatively, disconnected from Great Britain.
They are disconnected, and they got a kind of a cool flag with that maple leaf and stuff. If the United States merged with Canada, could we get rid of the stars and just have 51 or 50 or 60 maple leafs in the field of blue?
You can do whatever you want, man. I'm not going to merge with anybody.
I'm just saying, people would like that.
So the other issue, the question you've asked is, what's the value of these wars? But the other issue is the suicides, right? So not just looking at war from this large perspective of, this country fought this country, going down and zooming in on the individual. This is so destructive. What is it, 22
veterans kill themselves a day in the United States.
Every day today. A day. That's current.
Sadly. Well, it's Veterans Day. Probably more did.
855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Join us on Free Talk Live.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
A revolution in body protection has arrived only at FortressSurvivalLLC.com. Introducing the revolutionary patented Level 3 bulletproof vest. 100% Kevlar, 100% American-made. Concealable, fully adjustable, and the lowest price on the market. Adult size normally $289.99, now just $250. Kid size normally $239.99, now just $200. Get affordable protection with a Level 3A bulletproof vest from FortressSurvivalLLC.com. For thou art my rock and my fortress. Psalm 31:3.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. And we're inviting you to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. Just drop on by LRN.FM in the Skype land, and we will get you on the air. You'll actually sound a lot better if you're on Skype almost every time, unless you've got some sort of terrible internet connection or you're uploading a torrent or something like that. Hook up Skype, use username LRN.FM. You can join the conversation. That's LRN.FM on Skype. The conversation tonight so far has been about Veterans Day here, which used to be known as Armistice Day, back when it was more of a celebration of the end of war, moving back toward peace. Now it's more of like a celebration of war, and this constant thank you for your service, this worshiping the troops, this blind obedience to the state. This is supposed to be what's valuable. Your service, meaning the person who's the troop, or who was the troop, the veteran, doing whatever they were told. Thanks for doing whatever it was you were told by some politician who we all know are a bunch of liars, crooks, thieves, and scumbags. And somehow that's honorable to do what a scumbag tells you to do?
Well, it is honor. It's the definition of honor.
To do what a scumbag tells you.
Well, I'm sorry. Honor has a long and storied career of being associated with military service. So, I guess there's a nuance between your position and my position here.
I don't think so, Mark. Honor has to do with honesty, fairness, or integrity in one's beliefs and actions. I guess if your belief is to do whatever you're told by some thug, that you could maybe say that was honorable, but that seems like a stretch.
Look, I'm not gonna sit here and say that veterans, many of them didn't act in extraordinarily courageous manners.
Sure, I'll give you that.
Yep, courageous.
Some guys got rescued and saved, and people got saved or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
there's all kinds of stories about that.
And I'm gonna say that there's, many of them, the sacrifices were huge. The willingness to make the sacrifice is valued by many people. I'd say that the biggest sacrifice you can make, personally, for me, the biggest sacrifice you can make is living the life you want. That oftentimes that can be.
How's that a sacrifice?
Well, because it will anger some people. If you live the life you want, many times your family wants you to live a certain way.
Okay.
And if you come from a long line of people who've served in the military, it could be an expectation that you just go into the military at 18. And it could be a real sacrifice to decide I'm going to start my own business, or, I'm.
So you're sacrificing the adoration and respect of your family members in that case, or maybe somebody maybe someone could sacrifice a really good paying job, like working for the military industrial complex, in return for going and doing something that's actually fulfilling but doesn't make as much money.
I've known many, many people who have chosen, look, I just can't work here because of your association with weapons manufacturing or whatever it is that that they just don't have. They just don't have the ability to work around or work around any longer. Once they begin to see what these weapons are being used for and this sort of thing, the notion of a just war. I'm not against the notion of a just war. I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm looking for it. Show me the just war. I have asked to remove the Revolutionary War and World War II from the conversation because I think that those can get very complicated. But I did give rebuttals for them. So yeah, nonetheless, I think that's my Veterans Day ramble.
To the phones and the fun. Let's talk to Mike in Detroit. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello, Mike.
Yes, hi.
Hey.
I would like to discuss a little bit about prisons in the United States and what's going on.
Sure. What's going on?
Well, this is just kind of like an action and consequence type thing. And I think what's happening is most cities across the United States, for a lot of reasons, are not able to balance their budgets. Costs are rising, for example, pension benefits, health care, things like that, paid to retirees and things. And unfortunately, the cities, as a result of short-sightedness over the decades, have not prepared properly for those expenditures. And so what they're doing is they're using police officers to go out and raise hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know what the figures are, of course, but if you start looking at some of the courthouses that have been built, multi-million-dollar courthouse facilities, you can't be building structures like that and not have some kind of a huge payoff. And I would guess that if someone were to do some research on it, they would find out, like here in where I live, for example, a courthouse was built, let's say 5 or 10 years ago. And I think several of the courthouses here have been built from scratch, brand new courthouses, multi-million-dollar facilities. And that's because they've got to be raking in, I don't know, let's say $10 million a year or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's at least here in New Hampshire, which is a much smaller place than Detroit. They're raking in probably thousands of dollars a day in the smaller courts and maybe tens of thousands in the larger courts here.
You're sitting in them and you're watching.
Yeah, I've been there. I've seen the convictions.
Right. Well, here's the problem. Problem is that the average person is out, trying to live their life. They're trying to go to work. They're trying to do their errands. They're trying to pay the bills, things like that. And they're stopped for a lot of times just crazy, stupid stuff, for like lane changing without a blinker or something ridiculous.
Marijuana possession.
And Yeah, well, yeah, that's maybe legitimate. I'm just talking about like myself, for example. I was stopped several times, my wife and I together, I think her once and me maybe 3 or 4 times, on total bullcrap. In fact,
yeah, but it's, I mean, I'm with you, man. There's a bunch of trumped up nonsense, but marijuana possession it's always trumped up nonsense. I mean, it's never legitimate to take somebody's freedom away because they have a plant.
Of course,
yeah.
I agree with you. But the thing that I'm trying to get to is that for every and I'm not saying there is not a legitimate need for traffic police officers. Of course there is, okay, because there are felons that, have done heinous things and they're on the loose and all that. What I'm saying is that for every traffic stop that is, let's say, total BS, that amount of effort that would have gone into that traffic stop and the resources that were utilized to do that, okay, instead of being reappropriated to something like stopping burglaries, home invasions, auto theft, assaults, murders, rapes, armed robberies, things like that. That means basically that misdirection of resources is actually facilitating those other crimes, right?
Well, to some extent, I mean, I can see, there's a good argument for that, sure.
I think you're right about that, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And so, it's unfortunate, but I think that it's something that shouldn't be ignored. I don't think it's something that we can just say, well, it's just the cost of doing business. I think that it's not just a lack of foresight. I think it really involves a certain amount of motive and intent that borders on malfeasance, because people, when they control a city, when they do governance over a city, for example, and they do all of the different appropriations that a city needs, and of course there are multitudes of them. I went to a city council one time. I'll give you an example. All right, in a matter of 15 to 30 seconds, the whole council had voted to spend $50,000 a pop on 10 different police cars, brand new police cars.
Right,
okay?
and this is an incredible amount of money. And I've talked about this multiple times on the radio program. If you want to stop speeders, and many people want people to move about orderly on the highway. There's no doubt about it. If you want to stop speeders, the last thing you need is a bunch of cops on the road, because what cops do is they make a more dangerous road. There's flashing blue lights on the side. There's some guy walking along the edge. I don't know how many dozen police officers get knocked into a ditch every year, and it's an expensive way of doing it. If you wanted to put up cameras, speed cameras, and catch everybody who's going 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, then you'd have relatively quickly people would be going the speed limit, which, by the way, is usually way too slow for the given road. And then at that point, they're slowing down traffic and making it a worse place to be. But hopefully they would raise speed limits to something that's reasonable. But technology has solved the problem of having police on roads, but government hasn't caught up and won't catch up.
Thanks for the call tonight, Mike. Appreciate hearing from you. I definitely share your concerns with the over-policing of America. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
Dr. Ngozi Obi is an emerging American author of Nigerian descent who's published 2 novels with an inspirational message. A third is in the works. Her first novel, Love's Destiny, follows Naira, a somewhat naive young woman, in a gripping tale of love lost and found. Her second novel, When Dreams and Visions Collide, follows Fern and friends as they discover what it takes to realize a dream and the true meaning of unconditional love. Dr. Obi's books are available where books are sold and ladyofdestiny.com.
There are hundreds of silver products on the market today, but there's nothing like the astonishing health benefits of the multi-patented One Silver Solution. Boost your immune system at a great price with our Silver Solution Liquid, starting at $12.95 a bottle. Now available in regular and extra strength. That's half the price of the leading competitors. Call 844-USILVER for your free catalog, or go to onesilversolution.com. onesilversolution.com. There is only one Silver Solution.
I want to be able to smoke inside, cut down on cigarettes, jog without wheezing, be kissable, and save money.
Then you want LeSig e-cigarettes. Get the highest quality, best tasting vaping experience on the market with unmatched customer service from LeSig. And right now, gobble up this deal. Buy $30 worth of any products and get a starter kit for only $5. Use code SK at checkout. But hurry, offer good only until Thanksgiving at LeSig.com. LeCig.com. Kick some ash with LeSig.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, Veterans Day edition of the program. You can join us here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And we'll just, your question, it'll be open for the rest of the show, Mark, to anybody who feels like answering it, which is, what's the value of these wars, ultimately? To the people who are performing the fighting? To the people who are left without loved ones after the fact? What is the value? And certainly there's value to the politicians. There's value to them because, they're getting kickbacks from the military-industrial complex. And there's value to the military-industrial complex because they're getting support from the government in the form of paychecks and, checks for the bombs and the tanks and the aircraft carriers and the things that are being built to go to these wars. So certainly those people will see it as valuable. But what about you? Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. And I saw you reaching for the bag over there, Mark. It was during the show, the previous show segment, and it was just so noisy. So I didn't want you to do it. But now, since we're going to talk about nuts.com, why don't you grab the bag while we're on the air? So that way, if people are hearing you make rustling bag noises, it'll make more sense. And it won't be as distracting since we're talking about it. Now, I have to say, I love what you have in your hands there, the 5-pound bag of these chocolate-covered pretzels.
It's probably closer to 2.5 pounds.
Oh, you told me it was 5 pounds last night.
It was when we opened it.
So yeah, nuts.com. They've got some great treats. It's not all nuts, but the nuts are very, very high quality. We got some cashews in there. We even have like an organic trail mix, which I had to actually give that back to you the first day and tell you to keep it away from me because we want to have some of this stuff by the end of the week so all of our co-hosts can try it.
Some what I always called turtles in my home, but they're pecans that are covered in caramel and chocolate.
Yeah, basically straight candy. It's delicious. I have restricted myself to only one turtle thus far, so I've been doing good with that.
We have to have enough left over for the other hosts.
So go to nuts.com. You get 4 free samples. If you're a new customer there, you get to choose from over 50 options. That's a $15 value for free in addition to your, I think it's a minimum order of $25 over at nuts.com. Click on their microphone. Use code FTL. That's FTL like Free Talk Live at nuts.com. And they've got way more than just nuts there. Dried fruit, sweet treats like those chocolate-covered pretzels that are awesome. Even got cooking and baking goods, almond flour, chia seeds, spices, grains, any powder you might want to throw in your smoothie, coffees and teas even, Mark. I know you're a big coffee guy.
Yeah, I'll look through what they've got there, but I've got
39 different kinds of coffee and over 170 flavors. So go and check it out over at nuts.com. That's nuts.com with code FTL.
I got their newsletter today, and it made one small tear of desire rolled down the side of my face when I saw the pecan pie that you can get for ordering $75 worth of an order at nuts.com. They'll give you an 8-inch pecan pie with your order, and it says pop the pie in the oven at 350 for at the most 10 minutes, and once that sweet aroma of pecan pie fills your kitchen, you'll know it's ready to enjoy. Happy Thanksgiving from our family to yours. Oh God, this pie looks good.
Nuts.com, use code FTL, get the 4 free samples with your first order. Pretty awesome deal. Great quality products, great packaging. It looks great.
Yeah, it's high quality.
You'll definitely want to give this as a gift this holiday season.
The Nuts.com's run by a guy whose grandfather started the company.
Yeah, we talked to him actually.
Yeah, an immigrant, come over from Poland, make a better life for him and his family. He starts a new business, and it's a real American story.
It's true. So let's go to Ryan listening in Charleston, West Virginia. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Ryan.
Hello, guys.
Hey.
Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to talk about import tariffs because, to me, I'm a free trader and I believe in low taxes and low tariffs. And I was against the bailout to the banks and auto industry in 2008 and 2009. And it seems like tariffs have the same effect because they distort production and artificially allocate resources to different spots than they would be in a free market without them. And so it's like they have similar effects as bailouts. And over the centuries that they've been imposed, that they think it would have already racked up to the trillions of dollars upon consumers. But I understand that the military likes them because the more facilities that we have open here in the U.S., the more that it facilitates the interest of the military-industrial complex. But at the same time, in a way, you're slowly just robbing the consumer and taxpayer and easing the competition of domestic producers by, making consumers pay artificially high prices on products. And you just think that I wish more of the politicians would talk about that when they talk about free trade and taxes. But
yeah, well, politicians love the idea of tariffs. It promotes, when they promote those ideas, it makes them sound like they love America. When of course you're right, and that tariffs actually hurt the people in this country because it limits the amount of choices that we have. We don't get to the same amount of, and other regulations as well. So we don't get the same amount of automotive choices because of those things. We have to pay way more for some of the products that we get. A lot of the products in the United States, for instance, have corn syrup in them instead of sugar because of insane sugar tariffs, as I understand it. And there's just so many different stories about how people's businesses are affected by this, but they're all, they're relatively unspoken stories. It's just like, oh, well, if you want to go into business in that area, you either can afford to do it or you can't. And a lot of people can't afford to do it because of the ridiculous fees that they have to pay.
Yeah, it's like, tariffs are kind of like the Reese's Pieces and the bailouts are the cups, the large, giant-sized cups. Both have the same effects, and it's just, they're chipped away at in smaller.
That's an interesting way to put it, too, because a lot of the people, when they were presented with these bailouts, were against them. I remember when we were reporting on it here on Free Talk Live, the news stories were like, these congressmen were saying that they were getting 80 or 90% of the calls, emails, and snail mails that they were receiving were against the bailouts. So when people saw this issue and they really took a look at it, they knew that it was bad for them. They knew the bailouts were certainly going to be fine for the banks and the people that were receiving the bailouts, but for the rest of us, we were all getting screwed. But I think that you make a great point that the tariffs in aggregate are far more damaging than the bailouts certainly were, but individually, they don't seem that way.
Right. I mean, it's just a slower poison, a longer half-life maybe.
That's a great point. Anything else you want to share tonight, Ryan? Go ahead.
Just to top it all off, a lot of people, when you say that, they'll say, you're like the classical liberals from the late 19th century that were, radical and utopian idealists. But every advance in the aggregate with our economy has come with innovation and trade, and both are what maximize utility and consumption. And although there are certain forms of labor rendered obsolete because of innovation, and maybe certain imbalances in the market shares of domestic versus international producers or foreign producers, that it still is most fair to the consumer and taxpayer when you have that competition. And that's just the way the government has tried to suppress that competition and the forces of the free market and what that entails. So,
right. What the suggestion is that that somehow I or you or some politician somewhere might know better what's better for somebody's life than they do. Because when a consumer makes a decision to buy something, they're deciding that this amount of money I have is worth less than that thing that I wish to purchase. Otherwise, they wouldn't choose to do it. If they felt like it was a unfair deal, if the money was worth more than the thing that they needed to buy, they wouldn't make that purchase. So to suggest to that person that you know better what it is that they should purchase by artificially inflating the price and making it therefore something that they would be less likely to make a decision. I might buy a car if a car is worth $20,000. I'm highly unlikely to buy a car if it costs $100,000. So if you and which it does in many countries, they artificially inflate the cost of cars and people just don't have them. So, that's what that's all about.
Great call, Ryan. Thanks for making it tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Our toll-free number for you to join us here is 855-450-FREE. Yeah, just imagine. I mean, whoa, wouldn't it be crazy if in the so-called free country you could actually do business with people anywhere around the world without having to ask some government permission first, without having to fill out some kind of form and pay some arbitrary amount of money to some group of strangers calling themselves whatever the hell bureaucracy it is that is important? I mean, what's the name of the bureaucracy that imposes these tariffs? I don't even know. I don't do international trade like that, so I don't even know who they are.
There is some import-export organization.
Yeah. What are they called? I have no clue.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. There's so many government agencies.
Right. So, please feel free to share your thoughts. I remember just trying to get the Bitcoin vending machine down here from Canada was a huge ordeal. And that was just one product that I wanted to get down here. And that was just from Canada.
Something that you owned.
Right. I had to fill out ridiculous forms. I mean, it's not FedEx's fault. They have to have me fill these forms out. Did Canada have a problem with letting it go, or was only the United States for the problem of letting it in? I don't think I filled any Canadian forms out, but I'm pretty sure the guy who shipped it to me did.
Okay.
So, I don't know. It was just like, basically we just filled these forms out, crossed our fingers, and hoped that it wouldn't get bounced at the border. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the new Healing Our World is a great gift this Christmas for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Armistice Day Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is down $3 at $1,087 per ounce. Silver is down 10 cents at $14.38 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $315 US. Today, in observance of Armistice Day, we will be donating all profit from all sales to antiwar.com. Buy online today and support peace at rrbi.co or give us a call, 800-874-9760.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, November 11th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.44 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,089 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $323. Antiwar.com reports in mid-2013, the Islamic State forces surrounded the Kuwairs airbase in Syria's Aleppo province, trapping a number of Syrian troops within. Since then, the base has been under intermittent attack and under virtual total lockdown, with the troops still stuck inside. Military sources reported that the siege formally ended Tuesday with an advance of Syrian ground troops backed by Russian airstrikes and Hezbollah forcing their way to the gates of the base, allowing hundreds of soldiers within to finally leave. The Syrian state media presented the battle as a great military victory, with President Assad reportedly calling to congratulate the head of defense for the airbase for holding out for so long. The military suggested the offensive is continuing to try to secure the entire area around the base. The Kuwairs airbase siege has been an important story within Syria for years, with protests held in Damascus by family members of the troops trapped within, demanding that the military do more to rescue them. For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. UPI reports a federal appeals court on Tuesday suspended a judge's ruling that said the National Security Agency's phone data collection program is unconstitutional and should be shut down immediately. The United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit Court issued its stay Tuesday, one day after a federal district judge made his ruling. District Court Judge Richard Leon ruled Monday that the NSA's program, called PRISM, goes too far against citizens' privacy and its goal of combating terrorism. His decision constituted an order barring the agency from further collection of data on the plaintiffs in the case, California attorney J.J. Little and his law firm, but it did not have sufficient authority to outlaw the practice against all Americans. Government attorneys responded with an emergency request to halt Leon's order, saying it interferes with a terror-fighting program that had previously been legally upheld by other court rulings. The once-secret program, which was revealed in 2013 by former defense contractor and whistleblower Edward Snowden, is already set to be closed and replaced by November 29th. Leon's decision came 2 years after he ruled in a similar fashion, but this time he did not stay in order for the NSA to cease mining callers' data. The appellate court said the plaintiffs in the case, those opposed to the NSA program, have until noon local time on Friday to file an appeal to Tuesday's decision. Government attorneys have indicated that they will take the issue to the U.S. Supreme Court if the order against the NSA is upheld. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports thousands of protesters took to the streets across the U.S. on Tuesday to demand a $15 per hour minimum wage and union rights for fast food workers, a campaign intended to attract support from national political candidates ahead of the 2016 elections. Organizers said thousands of low-wage workers walked off their jobs in some 270 cities across the country to take part in the Fight for 15 campaign and vowed that demonstrators would descend on the Republican presidential debate in Milwaukee on Tuesday evening. Hundreds of demonstrators took to the streets in New York, where they were joined by Mayor Bill de Blasio, and some 500 marched through downtown Los Angeles. Events were also held in Detroit, Philadelphia, and Minneapolis. Leaders said at the outset that workers from McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, KFC, and other restaurants would take part, but Lisa McComb, a spokeswoman for McDonald's, said that only a handful of its employees took part in the protest she called staged events, and that only 3 workers walked off of the job. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
College roommates continue their bonding process until real friends are made, and a teacher hopes they never Google him. It's time for the weekly video feature that's heartier and more comforting than a heaping bowl of mom's butternut squash soup. This is the Onion Week in Review. Longtime James F. Blaine Elementary School teacher Suzanne Pomponio told reporters today that she could not believe how much fatter her second graders are getting. Pomponio estimates that each and every one of her kids must be 8 to 10 pounds heavier than anyone in her 2011 class, adding, quote, "and those kids were pretty fat too."
Honestly, I didn't think it was possible that this year's kids could be fatter than last year's, but they are. I mean, short kids are fat, tall kids are fat, and there's a smell. I don't really know how to describe it.
Local dad Michael Carrain navigated several discount travel websites today with a precision reminiscent of 18th century Viennese prodigy Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart composing a symphony.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. Join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Coming up, fake guns are now banned in Boston, Massachusetts. They've already banned the hell out of real guns in that state.
Everybody who had a real gun's already been arrested.
So we'll get into that story. But first, from truthvoice.com, Missouri University police are now asking students to contact them for hurtful speech in sort of a series of news that we've been sharing with you here on Free Talk Live about just ridiculous college campus politics and political correctness gone too far.
Don't you think to some extent that what you see on college campuses is what you can expect to be seeing
in real
coming
life?
Down the pike,
Yeah,
as it were, in the future?
Yeah, I think so. It's Ian and Mark, by the way, in the studio here.
This generation of babies that we appear to be, allowing to be created by this, overpriced, bloated university system that we have out there, these folks are going to assume positions of power and authority in the next couple of decades, and then,
And what's to stop them from doing that? Nothing. I mean, this is not uncommon, this overprotected helicopter parent kind of child that is basically kept childlike for as long as possible, essentially kept as a child all the way into their mid to late 20s.
This is the kind of talk that gets us labeled as conservatives by those that out there that just dislike it, right? Like they don't want to rebut what it is that we're saying. They just want to slap some label on us.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a conservative.
I don't look at myself as a conservative, but I do look at people who, for instance, we were looking at this case earlier this week where after a free speech seminar, a group of unhappy college students surround the dean and shout him down because he disagrees.
It's supposed to be a home, not a school.
Right. Well, basically, the lady says that this isn't supposed to be an institution of higher learning. This is supposed to be a place of home and comfort. Comfort and home is what she says. Well, this is ridiculous. This is Yale University, young lady, and if you cannot accept ideas that are contrary to your own, you're not even ready for high school, let alone Yale University. Get out.
So here's the latest in the ridiculous line of stories we've been sharing with you here. TruthVoice.com reporting the Missouri University Police Department sent an email to students Tuesday morning urging them to call them and report any hurtful speech that they encounter on the campus. In an email that was flagged by several Missouri-based journalists, the MUPD asked individuals, this is a quote, individuals who witness incidents of hateful and or hurtful speech or actions, unquote, to call the department's general phone line to, quote, continue to ensure that the University of Missouri campus remains safe, unquote.
Here's a little hurtful speech for you. The University of Missouri campus police department's a bunch of wannabe cops.
They suggest that students provide a detailed description of the offender, their location or license plate number, and even to take a picture if possible.
Take a picture of the offensive speech.
In the email, MUPD, well, they do say, Mark, they do say that they're looking for people who, let's see, I'm sorry, I lost the spot here. Witness incidents of hateful and or hurtful speech or action. So, they're in the word action could actually include a real crime.
Sure.
Right? And that would be something that you might want to take a picture of. But as far as the hurtful speech, that's obviously a ridiculous thing to be concerned with. Anyway, the email
did the students of the University of Missouri didn't think that they could report a crime to the university police? So I mean, at this point, this is just a step forward. This is like if somebody says something you don't like, you big baby, call us, and we will make them uncomfortable for the mean things they said to you.
Well, and this has started before the university. We've had parents who have called the police when they don't know how to parent their kids. We've seen stories like that.
Sure.
And those people are probably Generation X. So this has been in development for a long time.
The parents or the children?
The parents.
Okay.
MUPD readily admits that hurtful or hateful speech is not against the law, but they write, quote, if the individuals identified are students, MU's Office of Student Conduct can take disciplinary action. And, if you're in a private organization, and the private organization has a set of rules that says no name calling, then yeah, it's within their purview to take action on you if you call somebody a name. I'll agree with you there. But these schools aren't really private organizations now, are they?
Well,
they masquerade as though they are, but really almost all of them are taking funding from the state.
Yes, they are private organizations that take funding from the state. And that's the problem. It's the funding mechanism, not the organization itself. So if I worked at a place, for instance, and I had to deal with somebody who, for whatever reason, felt the need to call me names on a relatively regular basis, at some point or another, I'm probably going to go to the, to my superior and say, hey, something's wrong with this person. They can't handle themselves in adult situations. The problem with this has to do not with name calling, Ian. This isn't this isn't going to be restricted to name calling or anything. This is going to be this person holds a belief system that is contrary to mine.
Yeah.
And that contrary belief system upsets me, and it indicates to me that this person that holds the contrary belief system is a very bad individual and should be separated from the rest of us. Now, that kind of statement causes a chilling effect on free speech.
I agree. Published originally on Mediaite.com, and in a statement to Mediaite, the MUPD confirmed the email was real. When asked about the potential First Amendment implications, the spokesbureaucrat responded simply, quote, we're simply asking them to report what they feel is hurtful and or hateful speech. They must not have very many actual crimes to deal with on this Missouri college campus.
Apparently their students don't drink to excess there.
Or no rapes, apparently, to investigate. He added that the police did not consider the hateful speech a criminal matter. However, quote, we also work for the university and uphold the university's rules and regulations. Said email from the police comes one day after University President Tim Wolf and Chancellor R. Bowen Lofton resigned under pressure from students and faculty alike for what they consider to be a lackluster response to racial incidents. The same day, protesters and members of the media clashed, with protesters declaring a no media safe space.
There's a no media safe space, all right?
That sounds really scary to me. Because I like the media. I'm part of the media. I think the media is an important check and balance on power structures. And whether you like it or not, these schools are a power structure. They have there's a limited amount of these things. They are endorsed by and funded by the state. And as far as I'm concerned, many of them are even called state colleges. So They might as well be complete arms of the state from top to bottom. And that means, to me, the media needs to be free to be on the campus, and the media needs to be free to report on whatever they feel fit to report on.
I'm a little concerned with the idea of the media just being able to go anywhere it wants on the campus.
Well, maybe not in the girls' bathroom or something like that, but
even in the dormitories, the halls of the dormitories.
They shouldn't be able to go in someone's private room.
Okay, what about the student center?
They should be able to go in there.
The student center is for students.
Nope.
Not for
no,
students?
It's open to the public.
Well, depends on the student center. I think
the one is here. I can walk in there anytime I want.
Okay. I see why, if you want to have a meeting of students that you want to keep the media out of, you should be able to do that.
Go have that in your dorm room then.
Well, there can't be any lecture room, any lecture hall that you can. Okay, everybody, we're getting together to have a meeting about what to do about the media.
Yeah.
And that meeting will be.
That's the meeting I want to be in.
The Ian B. Freeman Auditorium at 2 p.m. No media allowed. They can't do that?
No.
Okay. Well,
no, not if it's in a public building.
I have to say that they should be able to do that. There's students they paid to be on the campus.
That's fine. You can have private meetings in these buildings as soon as you stop accepting government money. How about that?
I'm with you. The government money is a real problem.
As soon as you stop accepting the government money, you can then put up all the security you want and prevent anyone from coming on campus. Until then, it should be an open campus, and anyone with a video camera or audio recording device or a notepad should be able to come in there and be a part of whatever's going on. What do you think? 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If there's a no media safe space, then that means that freedom is not safe. Only the people who are trying to plot in secret to destroy freedom would be safe, and that's a scary idea. This is Free Talk Live. You can join us here. The fake gun ban, it's happening, and we'll tell you about it. It's Free Talk Live.
Have you become a slave to big tobacco? Have they taken away your money, your health, and even your freedom, forcing you to stand out in the cold this winter? There's an alternative. With the help of Jimmy the Juice Man and GiantVapes.com, for less than the cost of a carton of cigarettes, you can make the switch to electronic cigarettes and take back your freedom. At GiantVapes.com, you'll find a selection of high-quality, reasonably priced electronic cigarette hardware kits to get you started, and a selection of delicious, premium, flavored liquid refills from the award-winning Jimmy the Juice Man brand. These aren't the junk you find at your local gas station. Use the coupon code FTL10 for 10% off your first order of hardware and Jimmy the Juice Man brand liquid at GiantVapes.com, where you will always get free guaranteed same-day shipping. Break free of the chains of sin taxes and big tobacco. Free same-day shipping and 10% off from GiantVapes.com. Giant, VAPES.com with coupon code FTL10.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV.
Do you sometimes feel that healthy eating can be a lot of work with very little reward? Well, no need to worry any longer. Here are the Onion's tips for healthy eating. First, identify your weaknesses, and then condition yourself to avoid problem foods by associating them with deceased relatives, unrequited loves, and traumatic events. Remember, alcohol is a source of empty calories, so be sure to keep your drinking under control. Unless you're really f***ing stressed out, like if something shitty happens at work, or if your cat gets hit by a car. If you find yourself suddenly craving a fatty food, let yourself enjoy the best of both worlds. Tape a slice of ham to your tongue and slowly absorb the taste throughout the day without swallowing. Stay motivated by paying yourself $1 every day until you meet your weight loss goals. At the end of 10 years' time, spend that cash on a cosmetic operation of your choice. There, now you're ready to begin your new healthy lifestyle.
This is the Onion News Network.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin. mymagicmud.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Right now, it's Free Talk Live, and you're invited to join us here. The toll-free number for you, it's 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Tonight in studio, it's Ian.
And Mark.
And want you to know it's that time of year. Get some shopping done. Get your stuff that you need for the holiday season. Just go ahead and take care of it now. Go to shop.freetalklive.com and just cross it all off your list, because you can probably get everything you're looking for at Amazon. And you can go to Amazon through the links we have at shop.freetalklive.com. You go through the regular Amazon links to Amazon US, Canada, as well as Amazon UK, and Free Talk Live will get a portion of your purchase price. Now, if you've got Bitcoin, you can go to you can go to saveatpurse.com, saveatpurse.com, and save like 20% on your Amazon purchases. But if you don't have Bitcoin, just go through shop.freetalklive.com. Through those Amazon links you'll find there, and get your shopping taken care of. As we continue here, the college campuses of the world going even more insane, where a Missouri college campus now, its police department sending out notice to all students saying, hey, we don't really have anything better to do, so go ahead and send all your offensive speech incidents to us. When someone says something you don't like, call the police. And this is incredibly dangerous, even though the police on the campus are pointing out, hey, yeah, we're here to enforce the law, but also we're private police for the campus, suggesting that, this isn't a criminal matter if someone says something that's offensive, but that they could bring it up to the administration and have some sort of administrative tribunal. What they do in these colleges is they'll have like a student who's in law school or whatever there, or somebody, just one of the students, is sort of like your representative, and then you have this little court trial thing within the school. So they have their own.
Has a much lower threshold of guilt
of evidence.
Too.
Yeah. So this is a bad idea, because you're training people that it's okay to call the police when someone says something you don't like. Who is going to really make the distinction of those who are making these calls? How many of them are going to make the distinction that when they graduate from school that they should stop doing that? Is that going to happen?
Unlikely.
Yeah, I think they're going to continue doing it. And hopefully they'll be laughed at by the real police when that happens, but it seems less and less likely that that's going to happen. We've got parents who call the police when they can't handle their kids, or when they believe they can't handle their kids at home. They can't, they've thrown their hands up on some disciplinary matter, and they call the cops in, and then sometimes the cops will kill or maim their child.
Well, of course they turn to the state for the raising of their child. They've been turning to the state for the raising of their child for years. What is government school? Government school is middle-class welfare babysitting services. It's government indoctrination day prisons that parents go there, send their kids there. In many cases, the expectation is that the school will do the disciplining of the child in so many ways. This is why, among other reasons, I imagine government school education is diminishing over time because parents take less and less of a role. Their kids are poorly disciplined when they enter school, so the classes don't move forward.
So something else that is sort of related to this is WMUR reporting out of Boston that Boston Mayor Marty Walsh has now signed an ordinance that bans replica firearms in public spaces throughout Boston.
So are we talking about like flintlock rifle? I would imagine
that wouldn't be a replica, would it?
Well, if it was a replica of a flintlock, it would be.
If it was a replica.
Okay,
yeah.
So you have, when it comes to, say, a flintlock or there's a few different types of sort of really, really old antique firearms, but let's just call it flintlock. So you have the originals, which sometimes they fire, but rarely because the metal deteriorates over the time and they don't want a collapse of it. Mm-hmm. And then they just have replicas of those. So certainly they have replicas of those.
Right. And they also have replicas of more modern guns as well.
Sure.
Like some paintball guns look very much like real guns.
Okay.
There's also the airsoft guns. I don't know if you've seen these. They're
They have a little orange tip on them.
Yeah, but I'm sure some people can tear the tips off or paint them black or whatever, right? But
seems like a bad idea. Seems like a good way to get shot these days.
It doesn't specify here that if it's got an orange tip, it's okay. This is just an ordinance that bans a replica firearm.
Okay.
From public spaces throughout Boston. The mayor's office says the goal of the ordinance is to make people aware of the danger of replica guns. Now, hold on. A replica gun, by definition, is not an actual gun, so the gun itself isn't a danger. You can't shoot your limbs off with a replica gun. This is a model, essentially. The danger of the replica gun is from the police, who will shoot you to death if they see you with a replica gun. That's the danger of the replica gun.
In a lot of ways, that's what happened to Tamir Rice in Cleveland, I believe. And I would say that to some extent, you're still dealing with the danger of citizenry, right? There's plenty of concealed carry people running around, not in Massachusetts, but where this is from, but in other states. And those people could make the same mistake. And I don't know how.
Well, I would hope that a concealed carrier would be a little more judicious with who they pull their gun out and shoot. I mean, generally concealed carry people have some level of concern for firearm safety. They've gone through some level of training. Many of them have, and I don't think that someone just with a replica gun in a holster is going to result in a concealed carry person drawing down on them. You just don't hear about that happening. But you do hear about the police shooting people to death in those circumstances.
Sure. Tamir Rice wasn't killed because he had a replica gun in a holster, Ian.
He had it in his pants.
Right. It was in his pants because he was using it. It was an airsoft gun.
Yeah.
And an airsoft gun is a basically somewhere between a toy and a real thing, right?
He was ostensibly pointing it at people.
It is a gun that you can it shoots a soft BB.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's a big soft pellet.
Right.
And if you're playing that way, you've been hit. It doesn't sting terribly or anything like that.
Have you been shot with one?
Yes.
Okay.
It doesn't sting terribly or anything like that. To me, I think it's a good thing, considering I played BB gun wars with my friends, and we shot each other with real BBs.
Did you ever break the skin with a real BB?
No, we never got that close. We were careful enough.
Yeah.
I'm sure that plenty of people did get a BB lodged under their skin while playing these sorts of games.
Could you put an eye out with the airsoft?
I wouldn't want to say. Eyes are a sensitive place, and you probably should wear some kind of safety goggle.
I would think so.
But you should wear a safety goggle when you're doing all kinds of things. I've hit something with a hammer and had a piece of metal fly off towards my face. So who wears safety goggles
if they're hammering?
If they're hammering, unless you're on television and you're pretending that you're always safe. I mean, who does that?
Yeah.
Well, like this piece of what I call a picket, but a T-post, I think, one of these green metal posts, and I struck it with a hammer, and just a chunk of it flew off.
Walsh said some fake guns look real, so they put lives in danger. So real, they put lives in danger. No. The gun has not put anyone's life in danger. It's the actions of the police and them jumping to a conclusion and presuming that somebody is actually armed when they're not really armed and, just getting all trigger happy. That's what puts lives in danger. You don't have this happening here in New Hampshire, where it's completely legal to walk around with a real gun. Here, the cops, if they say anything to you, they'll say, hey, what model is that? Because they're honestly genuinely interested.
Yep, you can open carry in New Hampshire.
Yeah, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Will tell you how many replica guns they've taken off the streets. It's Free Talk Live.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
By now you know that wireless technology like cell phones do in fact pose dangers to the health and privacy of everyone. Block-It Pocket's wide range of products are unmatched in providing the protection you deserve. No scare tactics, just common sense. BlockItPocket.com offers quality American-made options to alleviate and eliminate these invisible dangers. Learn more at BlockItPocket.com or call 888-315-9618. BlockItPocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 85% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. If you're a regular reader of freekeene.com, you know there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees!
What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
Right now, it's Free Talk Live. You can join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733, and we invite you to our website. You go there, get interactive. It's totally free. It's brand new as well. The website completely redesigned. There's now a blog section, which it's called FTL News. When you're there on the front page, there's the show topics. That's the default view. And then the next tab there is FTL News. You can check out Mark's newest blog post from yesterday about agorism. If you don't know what that is, I believe you explained it in the article.
Yes.
So go and check it out over at freetalklive.com and then get interactive by submitting content right there to the front page of our website. You can jump into the chat room during our live show, or when we're not live, it's always there. There's a lot of different things you can do to interact with other people there over at freetalklive.com. Most importantly, the site is free. So head over and enjoy freetalklive.com. 153 replica guns taken off the streets so far this year in Boston alone. And that's apparently without an ordinance that bans them. So they just now signed the ordinance.
They're just taking people's toy guns?
Yeah. That's what it sounds like, doesn't it?
Okay.
Because they just, as of 2 days ago, signed the ordinance that bans replica guns from the streets of Boston. But according to Police Commissioner William Evans, they've taken 673 real guns and 153 replica guns off the streets in Boston just this year so far. Some of these replica guns, said the police chief, look no different than the real guns.
And?
Replica firearms in public spaces will be confiscated by the police, and the owner will have to pick it up at a district station. Huh? Why would they confiscate the... What? They confiscate the gun and then let you pick it up later?
I assume what they're saying is this is kids carrying around airsoft guns, and that the parents will have to come and get the gun and hear from the police how dangerous it is for their kids to have airsoft guns.
I see.
I was raised in the country, and we went around. We had BB guns, and we did all our things. Plus, even when we were in town, we had BB guns. I remember going to my friend's property. We'd go down.
Now, how are you carrying the BB gun in town?
Well, it's not like I'm walking down the sidewalk or anything like that. We'd basically... I'd take my BB gun over to his house on my bicycle.
Like in a bag or something, or on your belt?
It was a rifle. It's not a pistol.
Oh, a rifle. Was it slung to your back?
It didn't have a sling to it. I just put it over the handlebars.
Okay, gotcha.
And it wasn't that far, just going down the street, bicycling. And then we go over to his place, and he had this little creek that ran along the side of his property, and we'd go down there and shoot dragonflies, and we were pretty good, things like that, and basically lay havoc. His father said that the area we were in was a bird sanctuary, which I looked it up later, and it wasn't a bird sanctuary, but either way, it was good enough for us. This title that he gave it.
Was that said to you to discourage you from shooting the birds?
It was told that we mayn't shoot birds.
Okay.
This is a bird sanctuary. You mayn't shoot birds.
Gotcha.
Was the order. Right. That's the contraction for may not.
It's an unusual contraction, though, wouldn't you say?
Well, Free Talk Live, you learn something every day listening to Free Talk Live. So
I know I do. Yeah. I don't know about you.
No.
Being a super genius.
I know it all already. So we'd go down there and play with the BB guns until we got tired of it, in which case we'd go do Star Wars figures or what. So you were
riding down the street with a rifle strapped across the front portion of your bicycle.
That's a correct statement.
Sounds like a scene out of Mad Max.
It's just, I guess that's what happened.
At least that's what these people in Boston would think.
Yeah,
I mean,
I had a Crossman 880. He had the 881 with the scope.
And this is just crazy. Replica firearms, again, will be confiscated by the police. The owner will have to pick it up at a district station. I guess the idea is that they're not outlawing possession in all circumstances. It's only in public. So if you're seen in public with a replica firearm, they will be confiscated. Now it's an ordinance, so presumably there'll be a ticket involved as well.
What else would it be, right?
But they will apparently let you have it back as long as you promise to be a good little boy.
I would say that this is probably about airsoft guns, scaring people.
Yeah, for sure.
My experience with Massachusetts, what we call massholes up here in New Hampshire, my experience with massholes is that if they see a gun, they wet themselves and call the police.
They call the cops. When they come to New Hampshire, they don't get it, and the cops will laugh at them.
Right. I'm surprised they don't call the Massachusetts cops to come up here and do something about it, frankly. And it's like, wow, there's a gun up here in New Hampshire. I was just supposed to get cheap alcohol and do some tax-free shopping.
I'm pretty sure it is illegal to even have I think it may be a felony to actually have a bullet in Massachusetts.
I've heard all these sorts of things.
I mean anywhere in Massachusetts. This new ordinance is just Boston. But all of Massachusetts is like basically a gun-free zone. It's near to impossible to acquire whatever government permission slip that you need. Remember we had the former cop call this show, and he tried to get a gun permit down in the town in which he lived in Mass.
And they said
they told him no.
Yeah.
A former police officer couldn't even get a gun permit.
It wasn't even that long ago.
Right.
It's not some ancient story.
So, I mean, it is not a place to be if you believe in self-defense, Massachusetts.
Yeah, they have no interest in you defending yourself. They have they've contracted that out to police departments.
So I just thought that was a ridiculous story. And Mark, you've got another story. This one's coming out of Maryland, if I'm not mistaken, with an insane policy that the government had about trying to track people's shell casings. Is that right? And now it's just not working out, huh?
Yeah, this is from the Baltimore Sun. Millions of dollars later, chump change really, Maryland has officially decided that its 15-year effort to store and catalog the fingerprints, and fingerprints is in quotation marks here because it doesn't have anything to do with actual prints from fingers.
Yeah.
The fingerprints of thousands of handguns, it was a failure. Since the year 2000, the state required that gun manufacturers fire every handgun to be sold here in the state, and this is written in Baltimore, and then send the spent bullet casings to authorities. The idea was to build a database of ballistic fingerprints to help solve future crimes. But the system, plagued by technological problems, never solved a single case. Now the hundreds of thousands of accumulated casings could be sold for scrap. Obviously, I'm disappointed, said former Governor Paris N. Glendinning.
Not like he had to pay anything for it.
A Democrat whose administration pushed for the database to fulfill a campaign promise. It's a little unfortunate that in that logic and common sense suggests that it would be a good crime-fighting tool. The database was a waste, said Frank Sloan, owner of Pasadena Gun and Pawn in Undrell County. There's things that could have been done that would have made sense. This didn't make any.
No one talked to them first, though.
Yep. In an old fallout shelter beneath Maryland State Police headquarters in Pikesville, the state has amassed more than 300,000 bullet casings, one from each new handgun sold here since the law took effect.
Wow. You know, I was going to say this is really an unusual story because it's rare that you hear the government admit, yeah, this program, yeah, it's not working out over here.
More likely with state governments than federal government.
Yeah, well, it sounds like what happened here was they filled up a space full of shell casings, and then somebody realized, yeah, Joe, we're running out of room here. What are we going to do with all this stuff?
Has this ever solved a crime? Does anybody know? We got 300,000 rooms in a fallout shelter full of bullet casings. Does anybody know if any police agency in the entire state of Maryland has ever come in here and ever looked at one of these casings? If you keep on talking like that, you can lose your pension.
Right. Somebody finally decided that this was not working out. And, kudos to whichever bureaucrat it was that put his job on the line to point that out. Hopefully he still has it.
Each casing. Okay, so they fill 3 cavernous rooms secured by a common combination lock.
Cavernous? Is that the word
That's
they
the term.
use?
Yes. 300,000.
Well, right. I find myself wondering, what is the volume of 300,000 shells?
It's not the shells. It's the envelopes they're in.
Oh, my God. So one per envelope, basically?
There's these mailers. There's the mailing manila envelopes that they're in that are labeled, hand-labeled.
And probably in, filing cabinets or something like that.
Boxes. Just boxes
there.
on the floor.
855-450-FREE. We'll find out more. This is Free Talk Live. Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people, where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS?
Get on board with the Tax Admiral. Don't pick on the IRS alone. I'll cut penalties and reduce your overall tax bill. Sometimes I can even get it zeroed out completely.
We're an A-rated company helping people clean up their mess with the IRS.
If you owe $10,000 or more, then call the Tax Admiral.
Call 800-287-7180. Again, that's 800-287-7180. 800-287-7180.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Don't worry about things you can't control. Isn't that what they always say? But it's about impossible to avoid worrying about what's going on these days. The government has used the war on guns, the war on drugs, and the war on terrorism to tear our Bill of Rights to shreds. But you can fight back. The 10th Amendment Center has proven it, racking up major victories. For example, when the U.S. government claimed authority in the NDAA to have the military kidnap and detain Americans without trial, the nullifiers got a law passed in California, declaring the state's refusal to ever participate in any such thing. Their latest project is offnow.org, nullifying the National Security Agency. They've already gotten model legislation introduced in California, Arizona, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Kansas, meant to limit the power of the NSA to spy on Americans in those states. We'd be fools to wait around for the U.S. Congress or courts to roll back Big Brother. Our best chance is nullification and interposition on the state level. Go to offnow.org, print out that model legislation, and get to work nullifying the NSA. The hero Edward Snowden has risked everything to give us this chance. Let's take it. Offnow.org.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us right here toll free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And join us via Skype. Our Skype username, it's lrn.fm. Hey, if you appreciate Free Talk Live, we would ask you to take a moment and go to amp.freetalklive.com. Sign up for the AMP program. We've told you before about AMP. It's advertise, market, and promote. $5 a month. We take it in, invest it into Free Talk Live, get on more radio stations, more satellite signals, expand the message of freedom to new ears so new people can hear these ideas. Because that's, to me, that's valuable. That's why I do this show. Like you said, Mark, you could probably go get a conservative talk job and probably make more money that way if you wanted to. But it's not about the money. It's about spreading the message of freedom, because that is an important thing to do. So if you value that, please, $5 a month is all it takes. You can use any major credit card via PayPal. You can use Visa and MasterCard right through our website over at amp.freetalklive.com. And something else I'd like to point out is if you are someone who believes you're currently an amplifier, please take a moment to visit freetalklive.com, log into the site, and then click on your user profile. It will tell you the current status that you have as to whether or not you're an amplifier. There's a chance, let's say you ordered a prepaid amp. You can actually prepay. So there's two ways to amp. You can amp with like a monthly recurring, or you can say, I'd like to just give you 12 months worth right now.
Yep.
And then when the 12 months comes up, it doesn't auto-rebill. It sends you a notice saying, hey, your 12 months came up. Well, if you missed that notice and you didn't make a note on your calendar or something like that, there's a chance your amp expired and you didn't realize it. So maybe you think you're amping the show, but you're in point of fact not actually amping the show. There was a bug in our system that actually, whenever somebody cancels an amp or it expires or whatever, I would get a notice of that and send out an email to the person like, hey, your amp expired. Just want to give you a heads up. If there's any issues, let me know, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And so I was not getting those emails for the people who had prepaid, and there were dozens of people who'd prepaid for their amps. So I basically did not have any way of tracking when those people's amps were expiring, which means I wasn't able to send those, hey, we miss you kind of emails out.
Sure.
And so there's a good chance some of those people just did not know that their amps, maybe it went to the spam folder. Maybe the automated message didn't make it to their email box, or just got shoved aside or buried in other emails. So take a moment, go to our brand new website at freetalklive.com, log into your account, and just check your amp status. Make sure you're in good status. If you think you're an amplifier, just double check, make sure everything's good. And if you're not and you want to be, please go to amp.freetalklive.com, get signed up. That's amp.freetalklive.com. Banning guns further in this is banning toy guns, banning replica guns in Boston. You can still comment on that. Also in Maryland, they're giving up on a program that required every gun store operator to shoot every gun that they were going to sell, take the shell from the gun, the expense.
Not the gun store owners, the manufacturers.
Oh, the manufacturer. Okay, I apologize about that. Really?
I don't.
Okay.
That's what it says in the article. I don't. You're right. I can't tell you. Maybe the manufacturers pawned it off on the gun owners, the gun store owners.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, whoever it was that was going to deal those guns, someone was responsible for sending in a spent shell casing to the state. They collected 300,000 plus of these things and finally realized, oh, yeah, these didn't really actually help us solve any crimes, so why are we holding on to them again? So they're finally shutting that program down.
Each casing was meticulously stamped with a barcode, sealed in its own envelope, and filled and filed in boxes stacked from floor to ceiling in 3 cavernous rooms secured by a common combination lock. Forensic scientists photographed the casings in hopes that the system would someday identify the owner of a gun fired at a crime scene. The system cost an estimated $5 million to set up and operate over the years. But the computerized system to design and sort and match the images never worked as envisioned. In 2007, the state stopped bothering to take the photographs.
So some software firm got paid big bucks to make a piece of software to match the barcodes or whatever on these things, and it didn't work out.
That's it. The program never worked as expected. In 2007, the state stopped bothering to take the photographs of the casings. They tried it for 7 years, and then the hundreds of thousands of casings just kept piling up in the fallout shelter. So at this point, they're just requiring these things to be sent off.
Right.
You just make work for selling a gun.
And now they're talking about what to do with all the inventory here, the 300,000 shells. But as you pointed out, they're in these envelopes. So it's not like you could just go in there with a shovel and a wheelbarrow or whatever and start filling boxes full of, shipping boxes full of these things.
It's easy. What they do is they go on Craigslist, or they make an announcement at local gun stores or whatever. The state police certainly has inroads with local gun stores. They say, we're having a blow. We're getting rid of this stuff. The reloader guys, I can't remember what they're called exactly, but they take these casings and they make new guns with them.
New bullets.
Yeah, new bullets with them. And they love the casings.
Yeah.
They'll hunt after people at the range who are leaving their casings.
So you're saying just turn them loose on the room and let them crack through all those envelopes?
Have one day,
Is it really worth it? To whatever amount of time you would spend to crack open an envelope and then dig into it and get
it doesn't make a difference. Is it worth it to reload a round?
Well, yeah, if someone's buying it from you, I guess so.
People don't buy reloads generally. Those are for the guys that are shooting.
Someone's buying them. You can buy those things.
Okay, well, I'll take your word for it. There's 300,000 casings there, so it's worth something. Yes, they have it collected in one place.
Seems like a lot of work.
Well, here's a second choice.
It's going to be a lot of work either way. A lot of work to either get them out and reuse them, or get them out and recycle them, or throw them out. Either way.
Here's another option. Now, I don't know how the entrance is to this fallout shelter that's beneath the state police department. If you have to go through this police offices to get there, and therefore you'd have to take everything out wheelbarrow at a time. I don't know the answer to that. Hopefully there's some kind of door where a truck could be loaded, and you say, okay, we're going to have here's an auction. And people do auctions all the time for estate sales. One auction, maybe one for each room, or one for the whole lot, or whatever it is. You bid, and then the winner gets it out of here. Here's the date they got to get it out of here, and they've got 3 days or whatever. And you just put the criteria out there, and they'll get it out of there. Yes, it can be done.
Let's go to the phones, to the fun. Ralph in New Jersey, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello?
Yes. How are you guys?
Hey, you're on the air.
Okay. Good evening. How are you?
Hey, you're on the radio. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Let me talk about that situation that happened at Yale and at Missouri, or the University of Mississippi.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Once again, you got the guilt-ridden, white guilty, wringing their hands. Besides themselves. They are so besides themselves. Pushing this whole agenda of social justice, and in particular,
actually, in the case of Yale, the girl looked black, or at least half and half.
But half and half. Okay, half and half. So you that's not necessarily drinking your coffee black. Okay, you put the creamer into it.
I couldn't understand a word of what you just said.
You put the creamer into the coffee. That makes it half and half, correct?
If that's what you want to call it. I think people self-identify as whatever they want to self-identify as.
Look, man, there's no doubt there's a problem on college campuses. What's your solution?
Okay. Where's the proof? Where's the proof that the thing going on in there is either systemic, number one, or endemic, number two? Where's the proof on that?
Well, I'm not sure what the thing is that you're referring to systemic.
This is the whole thing with Yale. That's more like, to me, a scenario of intimidation. And the one in
I would agree.
Missouri,
yeah, it was the students in trying to intimidate the administrator in that particular case.
Okay. And in the case of Missouri,
students of all different colors, by the way.
That's more like a case of a hoax, or I would say we have a set of demands, so therefore, can we call it like hostage taking? Or
in the case of Missouri, for our listeners just tuning in, the police sent out a notice to the students asking them to call the police on campus when they heard something that they didn't like, when someone said something offensive to them?
That's probably what we call extortion. That whole situation that went down there.
I'm confused.
Again,
How is that extortion?
Where is the proof?
Where's the proof the police sent the notice?
No. I'm talking about the swastika of human excrement.
I haven't heard about this. This is news to me. Mark, are you aware of the poop swastika?
No, I'm not, but it sounds fun.
No, you'll have to look. We'll have to look into that, Ralph. Let's make a note. Maybe we'll talk about that. Hey, I don't know what you're saying, actually. Thank you, Ralph, for the call tonight. I really got to let you go. I don't know what you're saying because I had not heard about this, and we don't have time to research it for tonight. But maybe, Mark, you're going to be heading up the show tomorrow. Possible topic. There you go. Poop swastika in Missouri, apparently. We'll see you tomorrow. freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. If you want to play online poker with Bitcoin, you need a site that's trustworthy and technically sound. The site managers of swcpoker.eu have proven their commitment to bringing you great gameplay from a site you can trust, swcpoker.eu. They have lots of new games too, including Chinese poker, and their Krill leaderboard is open right now. It's a beautiful site, easy to use with lots of players. Go on over to swcpoker.eu now and have some fun with your Bitcoin. swcpoker.eu.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
Cop Block Radio is up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, November 11th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.44 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,089 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $323. And Tower.com reports in mid-2013, the Islamic State forces surrounded the Kuwairs airbase in Syria's Aleppo province, trapping a number of Syrian troops within. Since then, the base has been under intermittent attack and under virtual total lockdown, with the troops still stuck inside. Military sources reported that the siege formally ended Tuesday with an advance of Syrian ground troops backed by Russian airstrikes and Hezbollah forcing their way to the gates of the base, allowing hundreds of soldiers within to finally leave. The Syrian state media presented the battle as a great military victory, with President Assad reportedly calling to congratulate the head of defense for the airbase for holding out for so long. The military suggested the offensive is continuing to try to secure the entire area around the base. The Kuwairs airbase siege has been an important story within Syria for years, with protests held in Damascus by family members of the troops trapped within, demanding that the military do more to rescue them. For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. UPI reports a federal appeals court on Tuesday suspended a judge's ruling that said the National Security Agency's phone data collection program is unconstitutional and should be shut down immediately. The United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit Court issued its stay Tuesday, one day after a federal district judge made his ruling. District Court Judge Richard Leon ruled Monday that the NSA's program, called PRISM, goes too far against citizens' privacy and its goal of combating terrorism. His decision constitutes